Didn't we just do this? It's Monday morning, kids. It's time for Midnight's Edge of the Morning once again. Good morning, or good afternoon, evening, whatever it is where you is. I know it's already evening where the boss man, Andre, is. How's it going?
It's going good, thank you. And especially now when we're back to our regular schedule because we had daylight savings time here too. So now is real evening here. And I know that it's going to be for some of you in the chat as well. We'll get back to you. But it's not just me here. We have a distinguished guest or two.
Yes, we do. And our other one just happened to pop in the door as we got started. We got One Culture Casino with us. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Sorry I was tardy. I apologize.
That's all right. Glad to have you. And we also have our resident fifth Beatle, the script doctor who has the cure for all your entertainment needs. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me on today, guys.
We're glad to have you both here with us as we talk about Hollywood. Oh, well, we had a video ready for this, but the news got ahead of us. We knew this was coming. Stuff going on about Black Adam. Andre, give us the rundown of what the hell is going on.
Yes, absolutely. Before that, though, I just want to say greetings to everyone that's joining us in the chat. We have Sergey Thomas here. We have Bruce Campbell, Wasencina, and Congo saying to save DC, fire Warner Media entirely. Start over. Yeah, not a bad idea. And we have our ever trusted wrench here, Natasha, saying, "Hail chat, hit the like button." Indeed, that's a message that we can all get behind. We have House Atreides here. We have Rick Luce here. Spider Unlimited is here. Aluvriani Makara is here saying, Merry Monday, everyone. Hail. Yes, indeed. And Angelique Menoptera wonders, so tacos for Tuesday. What's on for Monday? Well, funny you should ask. I can't help with your menu in terms of like dinner or anything, but I can tell you that today we have two main stories. The first of them is that The Rock is making his reappearance into the not that Rock, the real one, like the Dwayne Johnson Rock. But he is making his entry again into the DCEU. I say again because he's been like attached to it since 2008, I believe. That's when he was like first in the line for Black Adam, and now almost 15 years later is when we actually have a release date, which is in the summer of next year. And also in announcing that, he kind of indicated that there's a new power player in DC. Now, there was quite the double entendre there, which we're going to get back to. Alex Acerra also says, by the way, for $9.99, Dwayne Johnson, hashtag restore the Snyderverse, and we will throw Fort Knox at Black Adam. Oh yeah, he would absolutely love that. And Nikki D says, Doomcock recently reported on a rumor that viewership for Falcon and the Winter Soldier is low. Think there might be any truth to it?
Yes. What about you, Culture? Since you're our Disney man.
Yeah. I think that's fairly accurate. Yes. It's lower than they anticipated, at least for episode 2, and I don't think we'll see how it all plays out. But based on the number of views and the way that they're tracked with Samba and other things, I would say that's fairly accurate.
All right, we got one more we can bring up on the screen before we get to our classic super chats. Stephen Otten says, "Hail Midnight's Edge guests, wrenches, and everyone in the chat. Wish Sander Hammerslag a happy birthday." That's right. If he's here right now, he's celebrating his 50th. Happy birthday to Sander.
Happy birthday, Sander. We're so glad to have you here for your celebration. So everyone, if he's join us in saying hip hooray. Yeah, I saw him here. He said, "Good evening, everybody."
There he is.
So Sander is here. So happy birthday, Sander.
Happy birthday, Sander.
Awesome. All right. And what did we have before that, Andre?
Before that, we also had Silver Nova sending, let's see,
Super
one
sticker.
second. Yeah, she sent a super sticker. And then just give me 1 second. And we have saying hi, gents. And then going back to what we had before, it only takes a couple of seconds to load, as per usual.
All
That's
kinds
how
of
we roll
birthday
around
wishes
here.
rolling in for Sander in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Let's see. No, actually, we are up to speed.
Oh, I thought maybe we missed one before we started, but I guess we didn't. So awesome. So let's get into this. Andre, like I was just saying, we actually have a video that's going to be dropping hopefully sometime today where you get into this, but give us kind of an overview of what's been going on here a little bit more, because you brought up, okay, this is something that's been announced for a while. But there's something unique about this whole situation going into the Snyderverse aspect of things, right?
There is indeed, because I wish we could have dropped that video. We haven't been able to do so, so we're just going to give you like the gist of that video, so you have some spoilers for when we drop it later. The gist of it is that Dwayne Johnson, he is a power player, not just on screen, but behind the scenes as well. This is something that we have heard very consistently from Mikey Sutton. He, and then I mean Dwayne Johnson, is something of a unifying force between the Snyderverse faction and the, let's call them the establishment faction, because that's what they are. The people who are against the Snyderverse in DC on film, they are the same people that have been like screwing over Zack Snyder to begin with, the ones that were micromanaging him, and that they wanted to go in a completely different direction, and that now wants the much, much more diverse direction with, J.J. Abrams, more diverse Superman, all of that. Those are the establishment faction. They don't want the Snyderverse to continue. They have no love for Henry Cavill as Superman. They certainly don't want Ben Affleck as Batman. If anything, they want him gone completely. They wanted him gone before, because Robert Pattinson, he is their Batman. They were the ones that chose him against the will of director Matt Reeves. But here's the thing. Everything that they want to put out, all the stuff that Unsudden was talking up in the hit piece published in Variety last week, they don't have any fans for it. They're hoping that a fan base will spring into existence. Just like the makers of Star Trek Discovery hoped that a fan base would spring into existence for that, and that the Kennedy faction at Lucasfilm hoped that a fan base would spring into existence for the sequel trilogy and for the High Republic. But what if it doesn't? What if no one springs into existence? Well, then they need to siphon off of another fan base. And someone who brings that other fan base is Dwayne Johnson. He has a history of wherever he goes, the property gets somewhat revitalized. You saw this with Jumanji. You saw it. Well, where else have we seen it?
Well, it didn't work for Baywatch.
No, it didn't work for
Fast
Baywatch.
and the Furious, but yeah, that's
it did
usually
work for them.
It does go with my. There's like a couple other things he's done, but that usually goes with my theory that when you put him in a movie on his own and he's the main star, they usually don't do that well. Outside of that Skyscraper one, they haven't. But like anything that's like, yeah, like you said, whenever he's brought back into a franchise like Fast and Furious or something like that, he kind of reinvigorates it. Whenever he's with an ensemble cast.
Reinvigorate, but not necessarily. Yeah. I mean, it didn't help Baywatch.
And he did all right with that spin-off. Yeah, well,
although I personally like that movie, but that's me.
I don't think there was any saving G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
but I'm willing to bet like Rampage wouldn't have done as well without him, and a few other things.
He changed the ending for Rampage.
Yeah, well, it's just the video game was so out of anybody's purview, and like unless you're like somebody our age, you just wouldn't even remember what it was. And they did a piss poor job of kind of emulating the video game, if you ask me, in the film too. But
yeah, he was also in Doom. That movie didn't do well either.
Yeah, usually when he's on his own. But
yeah,
like
but that was him and
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Yeah, but Carl Urban wasn't a star yet.
And Carl Urban, he's a great supportive lead, but he doesn't sell tickets on his own.
Yeah, and G.I. Joe, he was kind of taking over the lead.
Yeah.
But Scorpion King, he was all right in. But, he's done a few things that have made some money. I mean, but no, I mean, he's still a power player in Hollywood. I mean, as far as movie stars go, there's very few that you could really...
No, it's him and his ex-wife. They know their games.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's a part of it.
Yeah, that is a part of it, because it's not just him. It's also his agent, who, as Script just pointed out, is his ex-wife, Dani Garcia, and she looks exactly like what you would expect The Rock's ex-wife to look like.
And actually, I don't know. She looks more like the Rock's sister. But anyway, she's also somebody else's agent, isn't that right?
That is true, because it's not just the two of them, because The Rock, he has a friend who also happens to be his ex-wife's client. And that would happen to be Henry Cavill. And what we have consistently heard is that trio, they want Black Adam to square off against Superman. And now then, we don't mean like J.J. Abrams' upcoming rebooted Superman, but the real Henry Cavill Superman. And it goes beyond that. For what we've also heard is that they want the past of this Superman to be the one that was in the Snyder Cut. So basically, here we have someone that team establishment, or team Hamada, if you will, within the Time Warner group that is otherwise against the Snyder Cut and everything Snyder wanted to do, have to contend with some people who are, although indirectly, very much so, pro-Snyder. So it's going to be interesting to see how that is going to work out. And culture, now that you've heard like the basic setup for what's going on, and also keep in mind that The Rock, he even said when this was announced, there's a new power player in town, or something to that effect. What do you think might happen here?
Well, I think you're going to have similar upheaval to what you already saw with anything going on within Lucasfilm. This seems like a repeat of two factions at odds, and The Rock is a power player when it comes to Hollywood. And yes, he's better as with other people. And in this particular circumstance, I don't know if you're Warner Brothers and you're the establishment, as you called them, which I agree with, but I don't know how they. I don't know how they avoid conflict. You have to consider that he, The Rock carries a lot of cachet, and they need that right now, because there are not a lot, and we've had this discussion, all of us, before, that there are not a lot of celebrities that exist any longer in Hollywood, and The Rock might be it, and that's because he came from another type of or form of entertainment, I think, and built up an additional audience. So he's now got two audiences, and he fits within the right demographic because he's going to attract the female audience that they absolutely want. So they've got a real problem, because it puts at odds the universe that they want to flesh out with DC, with Hamada, and what obviously The Rock would like to do. And I think, since they pushed production of this back, I think, a ways, and the release date, I think they pushed back to what, July of next year? Am I right? Something like that.
It comes out summer of 2022, I think.
Yes,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing with The Rock is I kind of compare him to, and I think we've had this conversation before, Andre. I compare him a lot to Schwarzenegger, and I don't mean like so much the action, big buff guy acting in a movie kind of thing. He's big more than just in America. That's the thing. So even if he has movies here that don't do that great, they do great elsewhere because he's known elsewhere. He's like Schwarzenegger, where he's known everywhere. And that's where even some of Schwarzenegger's worst films here have still made money, because he's famous everywhere.
So would you say that played into the idea that he's more of an icon?
Yeah, I think so. But I just want to show the video real quick that The Rock dropped this morning about this, because this is actually, he is making it pretty real. Because they actually had it in Times Square, as you can see here.
In the DC universe is about to change.
No, July 29th.
July, yep. Says everything you know about the DC universe is about to change, if you couldn't hear it.
Wow.
That's the issue here, that a lot of the fans of these comic book characters are going to have to reconcile, because whether it's the Warner Brothers side or the AT&T side or Snyderverse side, overall, only the fans of one portion are going to win, because and the broader spectrum of fans are going to lose, because again, just like with Picard and what CBS did with that adaptation and what Disney has done with Star Wars, Zack Snyder does not give us the best adaptation of these characters, yet there is a fan base for it. And I can understand that WB wants to go in a different direction, but they're not going in a good direction. So now we have this bad choice where it's the lesser of two evils. And right now the Snyderverse is technically looking like that. And if it's going to be supported by The Rock, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of fun, but is there going to be a whole lot of, is it really going to have the legs it needs to compete with Marvel the way that Warner Brothers, AT&T wants it to?
Well, and this also, I guess, goes along with the announcement. And I know this is a little off track of what you were just talking about, Script, but I guess this also means that they're maybe leading to JSA, because they also casted Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard
a great
that,
choice,
Andre.
yeah.
I don't know if you heard that or not, Andre, because I know you're.
I heard, but I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with the character enough to have any kind of
It's kind of like a Dark Justice League kind of thing.
Justice Society.
Yeah, JSA.
Yeah, that would have been like right before the Justice League.
Yep. A few years before. So it had who is it? Wildcat, Dr. Fate, Captain Midnight, Hawkman, Hawkwoman, or Hawkgirl. The original Flash, Jay Garrick Flash, and Alan Scott Green Lantern, I think. And a couple others, maybe.
Yeah.
So there you go. Interesting.
Hourman, that's the other one I was trying to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, Hourman. Yeah, they've mentioned Hourman in other places before too. Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Culture?
No, so from again, I mean, I want to get back to this. So you're not going to appeal to the broadest audience is the problem, because they've set themselves up for this situation, and they're presenting three different universes simultaneously, and in a multiverse type of thing where you're continuing to produce things in all three of those, that could be okay, but you really, I mean, ideally you'd be operating in two, but you didn't get any, a lot of satisfaction out of an ending with the Snyder cut of Justice League, but you felt better about what you saw. I mean, at least that's my opinion. But to be honest with you, they should finish fleshing out those stories. And so does that mean they're going to dump Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman? Because
no,
they're keeping her. The ones that they're keeping Gal Gadot. They're keeping basically Jason Momoa. They're just dumping. They want to dump Henry Cavill, and they want to dump Ben Affleck. That's the most important.
They want to get rid of the money guys. Yeah, they want to get rid of the guys who cost the most, basically.
And then they want to replace him with Robert Pattinson, so that the next time Gal Gadot or Aquaman interacts with Batman, it's going to be Robert Pattinson, because Ben Affleck will never have existed. Because again, this is something in the video that we haven't dropped yet. But again, this is the rumor from Mikey Sutton, that in the Flash movie, they intend to combine the storylines of Flashpoint with Crisis on Infinite Earths, so that a number of Earths are going to disappear. And the plan is that Ben Affleck's Batman, he is going to have the role of Supergirl in that story, so that he's going to go out in a blaze of glory, and then he'll be gone and forgotten as if he never existed. So that way, they won't ever have to reference anything that happened in the Snyderverse again. They're simply going to go on with Wonder Woman and with Aquaman. Oh, and Mera, because Walter Hamada and everyone in the establishment team there, they are very pro Amber Heard.
It's kind of sad.
She's going to get loads of her own stuff there as well. And they want Ben Affleck out and Robert Pattinson in.
No, that's really sad, because in the comic books, it took 40 years for them to get to a Crisis on Infinite Earths, and now it only took, 8 on film? That's really bad. And they had to do that to clean up their own continuity. So this doesn't even matter if they do a reset. It's not going to bode well for their franchise in the long term.
I mean, you just fractionalize your audience even more if it works out the way that Mikey says.
Well, it's because Warner doesn't give a shit. They're at the point where they know.
No, this is what they want you to be excited about.
Yeah,
this is exactly what Ansarnov said. It's going to be so much variety and so many diverse things, and it's all going to be completely or mostly separate. Because again, this is what Mikey Sutton said, that they're going to make it so that you get the Black Superman and you get the Latino Blue Beetle, but if you don't like both, that's fine. Stick with the one that you like. What you won't get, though, is Ben Affleck's Batman. If you want that, then screw you. Be supportive of what they want to give you.
Yeah, it's fine that you like different things, and they'll be able to do any different thing they want in a million different universes, except for the one that they have that they consider the fans toxic.
Yeah, and where they actually have a proven fan base that actually wants more of. Though they're out of luck. But they hope that fans for everything else are going to spring into existence. And to help that along the way, they need The Rock.
It didn't work out well with Star Wars, as you were pointing out. It's the problem is that fans are going to like what they like. You can't. It's an organic thing. It's not forced. This is the same problem with the way they cast, and none of it makes business sense. So,
well, you have a problem. Is fundamentally this and as Andre was just pointing out, is you had, and I'm glad you brought up Star Wars because it is comparable in that way. You had a situation where you lost probably about half the audience with Batman v Superman and all that kind of stuff afterwards. They're just like, no, we're done, and they didn't come back. I mean, look at everything since. I mean, a few movies have done okay, but they have not really barely broken that $1 billion mark, and they're not going to. Well, okay, so you've carved out a part of your audience, but at least you have a proven audience with the Snyderverse. Love it or hate it, there's still at least a fan base there, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to continue that on Disney Plus or what have you. It just doesn't make any sense.
And that may still happen. But
yeah, it still could happen, but I think that the odds are real slim. And the only thing that, getting back to the main topic, the only thing that could possibly make anything of that happen is this Rock situation where, if they're adamant that this is the way it goes and that could push for that to continue. But again, it just, is this movie coming before or after Flashpoint is the question. And are they going to be able to get Henry Cavill to sign on? Because we know the problem, and that is they got him for cheap to begin with. But now he's a hot commodity, and they can turn around and bulk all day about, well, you're only a big hot commodity because of us. But it's like, that doesn't change the fact, Jack, that, he's the Witcher now, and Lord knows he's the only chance that they have to probably bring Bond back from the depths of hell after this next film.
Yeah.
And let's be real. They need to pull a Pierce Brosnan right now. That's what they got to do. I mean, they may not, but that's, to me, if you ask me, the only way they're going to save Bond after this last mess is going to be that.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. It with Bond in particular, because they've done this because of their storytelling with Bond, and they've done this with what they've done in, and
isn't he still attached to Mission Impossible as well now for a couple films, or is that just a one-time deal?
He died.
I don't know. I haven't watched him, dude, since part 2. So I have no clue. That second film killed me for that franchise, and I just couldn't go back. I got him. I just never watched him. Well, my point was I just wondered how busy he was going to be. And if you got a TV series and at least one or two film franchises, you're pretty much wrapped up for the
It's
next.
a streaming series, so it's a very different production schedule than a normal TV.
It is, but it's still like having another.
It's basically like shooting another movie.
Yeah, that's my point. Is you're still having another project, and it's every year. So instead of it just being every 2 years or 3 years, like a film project might be as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you have to leave gaps on either end for production shifts and stuff. But yeah, it's just wow. I don't know. He's going to be very, very expensive, and but if anybody can force this to happen, it would be The Rock and his agent, right?
Well, not only that, does Cavill really care about the money if he gets to play Superman and he loves the role, as he claims to be on social media?
But it's also about respect at the same time.
Yeah, and they've disrespected the character for quite
him time. And the character.
Yeah,
both of them.
And here's the thing: is you might be able to sign him on for a couple of guest roles, but how much more are you going to be able to get out of him than that? I mean, really. Because that's kind of the
remember he declined guest roles before. Like that's when he walked out was when they offered him that guest
Shazam. Well, that was because he wanted a contract. Well, that's because he wanted a contract. He didn't want to just keep showing up for fucking cameos because they keep dicking him around. But like that's kind of what I was hearing too, is like they're more than willing to work with him on that respect, but they don't want to sign on with him for some reason because of the money, I think mainly.
He's got to be the most frustrated, like in-demand actor there is, because essentially he's going to be like a side character in his own show for the next season of Witcher, based on.
I don't think he cares as long as he gets paid. I don't know. I've never watched the show.
Well, I think he would care because again, he is someone. Yeah, as you point out, he has a history of being sidestepped and bypassed. I mean, just look at Man of Steel. That was his movie. It was supposed to be Man of Steel 2. But then Time Warner, or like just Warner then, came in and said, you know what, Zack Snyder, it would be great if you could, bring in Batman. And originally it was like phrased like, Batman is going to make a guest appearance. And then it went from he's going to have a guest appearance till it's going to be Batman v Superman. They're both going to have about
and you need the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're right. And then by the end,
Superman had a cameo.
And I correct myself because I do remember now he is a game fan because Anna won't let us forget that. But
he's a huge gamer. Yeah.
Well, not only that, he was sidestepped in both cuts of the Justice League. He's barely in both of them.
Yeah, I really don't understand where everybody's like, oh, he's so much better in this version. If anything, that's one of the few things I would say Joss understood a little bit more was the tone of Superman. Don't get me wrong, he looks like shit with the mustache deal and all that kind of crap, but at least when he showed up at the end there, it kind of felt more like Superman in the Joss Whedon version. And in this version, he just shows up, kicks somebody, and then that's it. Like it's like, okay, that made no sense. You killed him for what? I mean, I know it's got its fans, but it's still not Superman for me. But regardless, I like Henry Cavill is in the part, and I just don't see them wanting to give him the money. I think that's the main thing we keep hearing is they don't want to give him the amount of money it's going to take, and I'm sure it's going to be quite a bit now.
But they're willing to give The Rock the money.
The Rock's a proven commodity, and this is what I was going to get to. Is that's my point? Is unfortunately for Henry's case, he hasn't been able to be in a franchise or a film where he's been able to flourish and star and prove that he's a hot commodity. I mean, yeah, The Witcher's a big success on Netflix, but that's, television. I mean, I can see where Warner's like a little leery to pull the trigger, but at the same time, I mean, this guy's everybody wants him in everything. Like you just said, he's very in demand. So whoever snakes him up, that's going to be his next few years. That's where he's going to be at.
Yeah, well, Rock is agnostic. He goes and works for everybody. I mean, he's got, if this is the case, he has 2 huge summer movies coming out in 2022. He's got the Disney's Jungle Cruise and he's got Black Adam.
Yeah. Well, let's get to some super chats.
Yeah.
Robert says, hello, guys. It's just Robert. That's it. The Rock says conservatives are bad, so I'm conserving my money and not supporting him. Well, that's your choice.
Yeah,
Clearly.
that's a perfectly fair one because he sold out in a very embarrassing way there, if you ask me. So yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he lost some fans there.
Yeah, and then Cesario JPN says Express in UK, Brie Larson is going to be in a Star Wars film more powerful than Darth Vader. Source Mike Zero. Me, press X to doubt. Actually, that sounds like something that would be like, wouldn't that be like galaxy ending? Isn't that like an immovable object meets an unstoppable force kind of thing, or a snake eating its own tail? Like,
if you want to guarantee the death of Star Wars,
like,
that's what you do.
Like a piece of shit shitting. I just don't. I mean, I just don't know if there's anywhere you can go for like it's.
It sounds like just the kind of thing that what's her face Leslie Headland would do, and cast her in The Acolyte if she can't get Amber Heard. Like it's not something I would buy under normal circumstances, but we have that thing right there, and with that, all bets are off.
Speaking of Amber Heard, but no, like it just why would you use Mike Zero as a source? But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I haven't done any like detailed tracking of Mike Zero's track record, but I kind of like imagine not great.
No, like half the shit we get accused of, that's what Mike Zero does. Yeah. Oh shit. Roger H sent us a thumbs up sticker. Thank you so much. I don't think it'd be a day if we didn't get a thumbs up sticker from Roger H. Dash DC comes in with $5 Canadian. Thank you so much. A says Rock can be funny, but if movies goofy like Shazam, he won't help. It would help if they cast a villain that can do action like him and they mesh well. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to necessarily be a Shazam film. More of a spin-off, maybe a JSA setup. It looks more
here's like the thing that Black Adam is going to be the real star, not Shazam. Yeah. I mean, Shazam already had his movie. I know many people are huge fans of it. Personally, I am not. And it did fairly meddling at the box office. So he is not going to be like the real star with Black Adam being the villain. On the contrary, Black Adam is going to be the one with the big role. He's going to be the anti-villain, but like the real star of the show anyway, wherever he's in a project.
He'll be like the Thanos 2 Endgame.
Exactly. No doubt about who's like the real star there, the real threat and everything. So yeah, that dynamic from the comic of real star and what you're there for, that's not going to be brought over to the big screen. You can rest assured of that.
And we got one we can bring up on screen right now that we're actually going to get into later, but I'm going to give Andre the honor of reading.
Says Kenobi series cast announced. Oh yeah, I saw that the Kenobi series was like announced as shooting soon. Did we have we between then and the start of the show now gotten the cast announcement?
Yeah, I sent it to you, but obviously you didn't see it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I sent it to you. I pretty much, anyway. He doesn't know what we're talking about. I send him stuff, and then he's like, I still don't know what we're talking about. It's like, look at what I sent you.
No, but I did see that it had been announced. I just didn't see that the cast was there.
No, I sent you the thing. They have a graph, like whatever you call it, like a picture of all of them.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I told you, and that was the rumor, was that Obi-Wan's going first, not Mando season 3, because there's fucking issues.
Oh yeah.
But I know we got a video of that coming out, and I've heard a few things. We have a video of a few things, but we're going to get into that here.
I actually talked about it today on the 6 Minute Daily. Is the two people that are primary to that. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I can't wait for that subject to come up. But
so yeah, we'll get into that. But let's get into the rest of these super chats first. One that we can bring up on screen right now before we get back into the other ones. We got a couple we can. Uber B-Man says could be the sidestepping of Henry Cavill's career be low grade version of the Superman curse.
Good question.
I don't really believe in the Superman curse as many people do, because only a few people have really been affected by it. It seems like
as a general thing, I don't
versions of it.
Yeah, well,
There's the one where the person is unfortunately faces a tragic accident, and the other one where the person's career vanishes to a point.
And in most cases, it's not quite true because Brandon Routh is still working.
Kind of.
What's his face from Lois and Clark was the dad on
Dean
Supergirl.
Cain.
Dean Cain.
He's not the dad on Supergirl. That was a walk-on stunt casting role. He was booted off that show very quickly.
Well, fuck them. Anyway, that's what happens when I don't watch a show. Yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, you could make the argument for a few, but I don't know. I think it's just...
I will say, as a general thing, whenever you have someone dealing with a property is cursed, then to me that's an excuse for, we did bad, we messed up, but we can't blame ourselves, so we're just going to say it's cursed because someone messed it up before and we messed it up now, so we're just going to say, whoop, it's a will of God, it's an act of God.
If Brandon Routh spontaneously blows up on the set,
then we'll talk.
Then we'll talk.
Then we'll talk. Yeah. Until something like that happens, until there's like some spontaneous combustion involving any of the earlier Superman or something like that, I am not willing to entertain that anything is cursed.
Yeah.
It's not about the success of the property or the show that they're in. It's just the actor itself. Because the George Reeves Superman show was quite successful, and then George Reeves unfortunately dies. You then have Christopher Reeve. His Superman films were quite popular, but they did again decline in quality as they went on. And then
wasn't the original Superman that had something bad happen to him too, Steve or whatever his name is? I can't think.
Kirk Allen was the original.
Kirk Allen, yeah. Did anything bad happen to him? I can't remember.
Well, you know what? Plenty bad things happen to plenty people, whether they play Superman or not. And to me, that's just a thing of like failed pattern recognition.
You want to know what I think?
People see patterns where there are none.
I was just going to say, I think it has more to do with the fact that 9 times out of 10, whoever takes on the role of Superman just happens to be early in their career, and it is one of those things that can really define a career, especially when it comes to George Reeves and Christopher Reeve. Like those two definitely were defined by the role. As to where Brandon Routh, he played it once, but now he's done other stuff since, and he's kind of rebuilt himself up. You know, Dean Cain did other stuff. He had a career before he was Superman. I mean,
also, Kelvin Wellborn points out that Kirk Allen lasted until his 80s. So I was going to say, I don't remember anything. And Prince Andrew agrees with that. I don't recall anything happening to Kirk Allen. So anyway, to me, that's just horrible things happen to random people who don't have it coming all the time anyway.
Until another one blows up, it's coincidence. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I say too. I demand a spontaneous combustion. Then I'll intend.
Something bad's got to happen. Like really,
Dean Cain, Brandon Routh, and Henry Cavill. Something bad has to happen to one of those three in order to get.
Yeah, or if they're all in something that's. That takes out several people at once. I'll entertain it then too. But up until
that. I'm with Andre on this one. Like right now, it's just coincidence.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like 2 out of 6 right now.
Yeah. 2 out of 6.
There has to be a set explosion. Lots of deaths.
Wasn't one of the Superboy actors like something happened like him, but like.
Loads of things happen on set all the time.
Yeah, that's my point. Is like there's so many people that have played the role that it's not like the Poltergeist or the Exorcist thing really to me, to where that there's a little more to the especially the Poltergeist.
Yeah, or like the Brandon Lee thing,
or the Brandon like Bruce Lee thing. Yeah,
oh man, that was just awful. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more I'd get into.
If you have like a repeat of that with someone, I'm not gonna give anyone ideas or something, but like some kind of like what's it, like Final Destination kind of thing like that, involving some young and otherwise fit Superman actor, then we'll talk. But until then, I stand by that it's coincidence right up until the point where it isn't, and we're not there yet.
Yeah. So anyway, one other one we can bring up right now. Stephen Otten says, so let me get this straight. DC movieverse that doesn't want Superman or Batman? How does that work? They want Superman and Batman.
They just don't want this Superman and Batman.
They don't want the Superman and Batman that are too white and too old.
Yeah.
So
and too masculine.
Exactly. Or too fan favorite.
And that too, yeah. Too masculine, too expensive. One's too white, one's too old. Just problems. They're problematic. They're problematic superheroes.
Yeah.
But let's get to some super classic super chats. If I could freaking talk this morning, that we cannot get to on the screen, unfortunately. Let's see here. We've got, where did we leave off?
I think
Vigilante. Yes, that's right. Hey, Vigilante, how you doing? Says, DC is hopeless. Regardless, I'm a lifelong DC fan, and all of this sounds bad and will confuse normies. Maybe.
Well, that's like the thing that they're going to give you all of this diversity, so you'll feel safe. What can go wrong?
Yeah,
don't you feel safe?
It's all about safe spaces.
Yeah, and you have so many different safe spaces, especially for the producers.
Well, Vigilante, here's hoping anyway. Gaijin Grimpora says, good morning, guys. I'm a bit late to the stream today. Everybody get coffee and breakfast. Actually, I had a really big breakfast this morning. I went and I said, fuck it. And I bought some bacon and eggs and I cooked it all up. Yeah. How about you guys?
I treated myself to a couple of mini quiches and some bacon and some hash browns. That was nice.
I had sushi because I'm
you had
elitist.
Sushi for breakfast?
Because I'm elitist.
You're in fucking Canada. You could be having some fucking Canadian bacon.
Yeah, I got that too. That's lunch.
Canadian bacon sushi.
And beer. Beer is more Canadian breakfast than fucking sushi. What the hell? He's all like,
part of the meeting. It was free food.
Part of the meeting. Fuck, listen to this guy.
I know.
Listen to this posh motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I had sushi for breakfast. Oh Lord!
They did not have maple syrup. I wish they did. That would be awesome.
Jesus Christ! And he's bitching they didn't have maple syrup. If I want maple syrup, how much it costs here? It's fucking horrendous.
Oh, well,
it's pretty cheap here.
It's more expensive than blood.
Well, we have a real Canadian maple syrup imported in glass bottles here too. It's a little bit pricey, but it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's just as bad or worse over there for the price, I'd imagine.
I should imagine.
Heck, there's a big smuggling ring for the Canadian maple syrup a few years back.
It's not pure though, right? It was mixed. No,
it was totally pure. Yeah,
I'm kidding. I could see why that shit ain't cheap, and I'm not.
It's very delicious and terrible for you.
Yes, it's very terrible for you. We fucking pour Cairo syrup basically on our shit down here. What the fuck, man? Like that's all it is just fucking sugar syrup. It's nothing. It's crap. I mean, at least their stuff comes from a tree. It's practically a vegetable.
You're calling yourself that.
I don't care. I'll look at it that way.
And I have to bow out for a few
before
minutes
you do, though,
before I'll be back again.
We'll grab. Can we grab this one from one of your?
I was about to say we have to deal with this one because I happen to know the answer, and that's a log, not one, from my countryman who says for 50 Norwegian krona, whatever happened to Defenders of the Earth? I loved that cartoon when I was a wee kid. Now, before I give the answer, Cultured Casino, do you know the answer? What happened to Defenders of the Earth?
I could not possibly tell you. I apologize.
Script Doctor, what happens to Defenders of the Earth?
I thought there was a rights issue because it's Mandrake the Magician, Flash Gordon, and the Phantom. And
nope, there's no rights issue. They're all owned by King Features.
Oh, they are? Okay. Yeah. Then, I'm lost as to why the cartoon didn't... Because it's an 80s cartoon. I remember that.
Yeah. Tom, what happened to Defenders of the Earth?
Kids don't give a shit.
You're halfway right. The real answer is that to get into what Script was saying, no, there's absolutely no rights issue whatsoever. All of the characters in Defenders of the Earth are owned by King Features. They own the Phantom, they own Mandrake, they own Flash Gordon, they own who else was in there? Well, it was Mandrake and Lothar. Well, whoever else it was.
Flash. You already said Flash. Never mind.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, and then I think it was like Main the Merciless, but he goes under the Flash. So yeah, basically it's owned by King Features, and there's the problem. King Features is not a comic book publisher. They're someone that sells like stock articles and comic strips and stuff like that for newspapers all over the world. So there you have a corporate overlord that really don't care about their comics or their comic book characters because they have so many of them. And they don't care. It's not their core business. But without them caring, nothing happens. And that is a big part of the reason why, for instance, Phantom 2040 has never been put out on DVD and Blu-ray. There's no rights issue. If they wanted to, they could do it. They just haven't made it a priority. That's why the Mandrake movie hasn't really happened. No one has fought for it. The closest thing that happens to Defenders of the Earth was that Dynamite, that has the comic book rights for them, they actually did a Defenders of the Earth themselves in the pages of the comic books, but it's not called Defenders of the Earth. Instead, it's called King's Quest. King's Quest or King's God. Let me just check here because I don't have it here. But anyway, yeah. And also Prince Valiant. That's also part of the same package.
Yeah.
So Dynamite Comics, they did this in the pages of the comic books. It was pretty okay actually, and I think it was King's God, King's Quest, something like that. This massive crossover event. And that's the last thing that happened to it. And it only happened because Dynamite, who had the comic book license, cared about it. Just like in the Nordic Phantom comics by Egmont. Mm-hmm. The Egmont editorial board cares about the Phantom, which is something the rights owners, King Feature, simply don't. That's why.
Well, we just go try and get the rights, and then we make it ourselves.
That'd be awesome. Gosh, yeah, I'd love to see that.
And we'll get Popeye while we're at it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's King Features too. So same problem there. Exact same problem. It's all King Features, and they don't care because it's the biggest license to newspapers.
Man. Yeah, let's do it. Fuck it. We'll get them. Buy them out. Buy the whole thing out. But anyway, moving on with super chats as Andre has to exit for a few. Sean McMullen comes in with $5 and says, I'd love to hear Tom's rendition of Hans Zimmer's Superman theme. Hang on a second. I got to get my vocals ready for this. There's so much range to this. Boom. Boom. Oh, I need a breath. Hang on.
I just forgot it.
I know Andre loves that theme, but I just don't get it. How can that compare to John Williams? I just don't. No, can't do it.
Heck, even Shirley Walker's theme is more catchy than that one.
Even the other one. Yeah. Cesario JPN says, hasn't DC rebooted their universe like 2 or more times after Crisis because of the same issue in Crisis? Seems like WP now. They never learned. No. And that's pretty much the comic book history imploding in on itself a million times over.
Oh yeah, the New 52 and Rebirth in the comic book world. That
didn't help.
Does not help. Nope.
No, New 52 was just terrible. Just man, this is why I giving up comics before all of this stuff went sideways. 2004 was the cutoff for me.
Yeah, the New 52 genders just didn't work out for me either.
That was all a byproduct of Flashpoint. Again, another story which gave us a cool universe, but its premise and how it conceptualized does not make sense within the rules.
Flashpoint only works on its own as an individual story.
As not relating to the rest of the universe. Yeah.
Right. Like it's just a what if. It's a really good what if story. But it's one of those stories that only works that at the end, everything's left the way it was when Flash left to begin with. because that's kind of the point of the story, at least I get, is that he learns he can't change history or it will fuck everything up no matter what. I mean, but you've made some good points that really made me hate that story now, and I hate you for it. Between that and a million other things. I think Rogue One is another one you ruined on me. Lady Roscalin coming in with £5. That's pounds, yes. British pounds. Thank you so much. Do we know if Indiana Jones 5 has been delayed again or canceled? July 29th, 2022 was the latest release date for that movie, which Black Adam now has. Doesn't matter. They'll go up against each other. They're not the same company, at least.
They don't care.
They don't care.
And I'm going to tell you, Indy 5,
it's going to move. It's not coming out then.
Yeah. It's not even close to, it's still gestating in some writer's head at this point.
Yeah, so this tells us that Black Adam is damn near filming. Like, if they're announcing a date, that means they're
halfway through production at least.
I was going to say, yeah, somewhere in there. Now, as far as, Indy's nowhere near production. So, there you go. Willie wants to know trying to prove to my girlfriend that Superman isn't a Mary Sue. That's some good TV episodes of STAS and it's hard to prove. Well,
a Little Piece of Home for the animated series. The late Mr. Kent.
That's another one. Superman himself, I wouldn't say he's a Mary Sue per se, but depending on what kind of power level you give him and what kind of stories, part of what makes him a different kind of, I mean, he's Superman. So
he has substantial backstory and he has conflicts that he can't possibly.
Yeah, his conflict.
He's not immune to magic. So
I mean, outside of his weaknesses, like his conflicts don't come from his powers or his abilities and stuff. They come from his relationships.
Well, that and his inability to control everything.
Because, that too. But.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Scarlet Witch who can essentially just, here's a new universe, or whatever.
Here's the other part too that goes against the Mary Sue is that everybody loves Superman, but nobody really cares about Clark Kent, and they're both the same person. So there's that part right out the bat.
Yeah.
To sort of defend on that. And the other part too is that his character. He has meaningful flaws, and the one thing is that he wants to help, but he knows he can't all the time. And that's kind of the thing that keeps him human and also being able to value when he can do something, as opposed to not just arbitrarily deciding to take over the world and rule it under his perception. Like that's the other part too that makes him very, very compelling and interesting of a character.
And then Lady Roscalin comes back with, thank you. I don't think Indy 5 is ever happening. I don't know. It'll happen as long as Kathleen Kennedy still has a pulse and Harrison Ford still have a pulse.
Dude,
it gets less likely though. I'm not going to say that.
Look, it's going to be this will be the equalizer of Indiana Jones. Yeah, I mean he's going to need a walker, and if as long as they keep him away from planes for a while, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Hard to say.
Oh, he's fine. It's other people I'm worried about. But yeah, Lady Roscalin, I think if anything, Indy's going to get pushed back a bit. Stephen Otten comes in with $5. Let me get this straight. Oh, we did cover this one already. Okay, so we got that one.
Yeah.
Uber B Man says.
That was the Superman curse.
Oh, we got that one. Okay. Revcar. We didn't get this one though. Revcore says, not a fan of Snyderverse or what Warner wants to do. Animated universe all the way. Well, Revcore, that's one way to go. And I can't believe they haven't emulated that a little bit more.
Actually, the animated universe currently is kind of emulating a little bit of what Snyderverse has been doing.
I was going to say, well, the last few have not been as good, but they were pretty solid for a long time.
Yep.
But then things kind of went a little
right after the Dark Knight Returns adaptation. They kind of took a hard turn towards the lesser quality stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of with The Killing Joke because The Killing Joke is half good and half horrible.
Yep.
All that added bullshit. I said they should have just made it a short film and released it with BVS.
Well, they had the thing called the DC showcases, which were these short films that they had on their initial stuff, and the Killing Joke would have been right in line with that, but they axed them because I guess the return didn't justify the investment when they put them on as like DVD special.
Yeah, well, regardless, I think that would have been better if they'd done that, and then they could have revived that whole idea of putting like an animated short with like a movie, you know.
Yep. Oh yeah, that would have been cool. Brilliant.
Take like little short one-shot stories and throw them out there in front of movies. Yep. I'd be all for that.
Of course, the only thing that they have to be worried about is the short story better than the movie that they're putting in?
Yeah, you have that problem, especially with like the Killing Joke. Yeah. Let's see here. Of course, you could have put the Killing Joke with the Joker movie, and you've been probably all right.
Yeah, probably would have. Yeah.
Let's see. We got Hyper Guyver sends in $10. Says everyone keeps trying to establish their own cinematic universe, but forgets Disney did it first in 1961 with the Absent-Minded Professor and Flubber in 1963 and later gave us Kurt Russell. Well, there's been cinematic universes even before that. The monster movies.
Abbott and Costello had a huge one.
Yeah, had one, and then there was like. Well, there was a lot of ongoing series and movie universes, and I'm sure there's other ones that people bring up that aren't even American that I'm always forgetting about that are even older than some of the ones I can think about. But there's like the Ma and Pa Kettle series and all kinds of other ones they used to do. I mean, it wasn't like abnormal at all, especially when it comes to the monster movies. I mean, you had a lot of crossover there. I mean, you had, the House of Dracula and all that kind of stuff where it would be like a bunch of them fighting each other and all that kind of stuff. And,
Well, you had, I mean, a lot of people forget, and I guess technically this is, not, but is just after
Godzilla and all that stuff.
The Absent-Minded Professor would be James Bond. I mean,
it is technically a franchise universe, yeah, but it doesn't cross over with any other properties. That's the other part.
Yeah.
It's definitely a legacy series. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Another one. Yeah.
Yep, Pink Panther. Yeah. Your Muslim uncle says, "Hail guys, I love Rock and this announcement years ago. However, no Middle Eastern actors to play a character from fiction's ME country, Hollywood."
Oh yeah, in DC they have fictional Middle Eastern countries. Like,
Middle Eastern
Malaysia.
Country. Gotcha. Well, yeah. Since it's a fictional one, they won't care. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Doesn't mean they won't say he's still from there, but yeah. I don't really give a shit. But I mean, if you want to hold them to their standards, you got a point there, your Muslim uncle. That's for sure. Ghost Verlot, if I could actually read this morning, says, "I swear to God, if something happens to Cavill now, I will personally blame you guys." Hey, we're just saying.
we were actively trying to vote against that. I think all of us were like, "No, we don't. I don't know.
We don't think there's a curse. We need more proof."
We didn't pick Cavill as our exploding human. So there you are.
Yeah, there you go. We just said one of them. And actually, I think I used Brandon Routh as an example. So poor Brandon Routh. Willie Woodward just sends in $2 and says, "Hey, y'all, but we got your other question anyway." So there you go. I think you got your $2 worth there. House of Atreides says, for Natasha mods who don't get enough recognition. No, they don't. And they bust ass, and they're here, and they don't really get enough recognition for it. That's for sure. Diego Flores coming with 20 Peruvian souls says, "My best friend sort of saved the Flashpoint storyline by showing me the explanation in animated Flashpoint where Yellow Flash explains that when Barry went through space-time, he caused ripples like a sonic boom." Yeah, I mean, the animated version is pretty good. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever really read the whole comic. I've got it. I've read a bit of it, but I figured, I guess, since I watched the movie, I didn't really ever read the comic, to be honest with you. Is there much difference? I don't know.
I can't answer that question. All I can say is that moment in the Snyder film was pretty cool. So,
what, the one where they said, "Hey, Flash, you got to go run around in circles," and then Batman has to beat up the parademons?
Yeah.
When Flash could have done that in a second and then gone around.
That's really cool.
I know. I mean, there's so many problems with that, but that cinematically, the moment there was really good, I thought. But that's just me.
Sanders says, Hammer horror won't leave me alone. First time in my life I sleep with the lights on to ease my soul. Well, you know what's funny is I just watched Dracula Has Risen from His Grave this morning.
Oh, cool.
Speaking of Hammer horror.
Hammer horror,
yeah. I watched that, and what else did I watch this morning? Oh, Devil's Advocate. That's right.
The Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
Hey, I love that film. That's a dirty pleasure for me. Yeah.
No, that's a fun, crazy.
Pacino's whole like fucking speech there, especially when he's yelling and screaming.
Oh, it's so amazing.
Yeah, it's good shit.
What a great film.
While eating bacon. Yes, I was. That's true. Very much so. I had some time this morning, so I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to enjoy some movies.
Good for you.
Eat some bacon. The bacon probably wasn't good for me.
I am on this new kick. I am 100% peppered bacon now. I am on a deli bacon, peppered bacon kick. It's freaking awesome. I love it.
Hey, as long as you can handle it. Well, we'll have to wait for Andre to get the rest of the super chats, but I can bring up one on screen right now that says, I want to see Warner Brothers do an Alex Ross DC universe coming from Adrian Barrera. I love Alex Ross's art.
I don't know if he's really written.
I don't know if he didn't he co-write a few things like Kingdom Come and a few other things. I can't remember now. Kingdom Come is a great story though.
Yeah, it's the only good Mark Waid thing he's ever done, I think.
Yes, Kevin Bacon is still a good actor. I can't argue with that. Have I ever read the Batman Punisher and Batman Judge Dredd crossover comics? No, but I bet you Andre has, and he is not with us at the moment. He'll be back though soon. Have you guys?
I think I read the Batman Judge Dredd crossover a while back. It was all right. Art was really good. I don't remember much of the plot, but the art was like fantastic because both Batman and Judge Dredd were like these giant hulking representations of themselves.
Oh, Rick Sanchez, you don't know how wrong that is. Don't get me started on how bad Highlander Endgame is, please. For the love of God.
Oh, man.
Oh, if there's ever
That's one where Duncan has to kill Connor.
Yeah, that was one I wanted to walk the fuck out. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. I hope you're being funny. And while we can grab this one, Robert says, if Black Adam fights Superman, how much collateral damage will they cause? Repeat of Man of Steel showdown.
Could be.
Could be. I don't see Black Adam being the kind of villain that Zod was, though. I see them trying to treat him more of like an anti-hero or anti-villain because it's played by The Rock. Does that
he wants to rule. I mean, that's one thing.
Yeah. But they'll probably use him in a way where he's... I liked when you guys brought him up as kind of like a... oh, God. Fucking purple guy. Jesus Christ. Thanos.
Thanos, yeah.
But even more of like an understandable kind of...
Well, if memory serves, Black Adam is from like Egypt, or is an Egyptian type of character, at least at that time.
Middle Eastern, they were saying earlier, yeah.
And then he left the Earth, and he's never like turned off his Shazam sort of power. So he's there several thousand years old. So one of the stories I know where he gets defeated is Captain Marvel says Shazam and then puts Black Adam in the way of the lightning bolt, and it just pretty much rapidly ages in like 1,000 or so years and defeats him.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Sanchez. I know you had to fuck with me. Here's another one you can grab from Swinging Cod, the one, the only. Devil's Advocate, Reindeer Games, and 2 Days in the Valley. What do they have in common? Also, Wade is a D-bag, but Irredeemable was a good series. Devil's Advocate, Reindeer Games, and 2 Days in the Valley. What do they all have in common? They're not all directed by Taylor Hackford, are they?
Is Keanu Reeves in these?
No, he's not in.
He's not in.
No, Reindeer Games was Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, right? Not ringing a bell. I haven't seen 2 Days in the Valley in a long time, so I can't remember.
Nope, they weren't directed by Taylor. Or no, that's his...
Is it Charlize Theron?
Oh, that'd be it, probably. Yeah. Yeah, she's in all three of them, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, I think you see her boobies in Devil's Advocate. I'm pretty sure those were her boobies.
Yeah.
It's a full frontal, actually.
Yeah, Charlize Theron. Yeah, you're right. Good call. Good call. See?
Yeah.
See?
Oh, yeah, look at that.
See, the chat beat us to it. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that trivia is done, the other big news this morning, of course, was the Obi-Wan casting, as we brought up. I don't know if Andre wanted to talk about that or the other news this morning first. You know what? Let's save the Obi-Wan news. Let's talk about the other bit first, because then we'll get to Super Chats when he gets back. King Kong and Godzilla are killing it at the box office overseas since it's already out in some areas. Wow. Over $122 million already.
Yeah.
Making it pretty much a success, I would say.
Oh, it's
clearly the biggest opening post-pandemic.
Yeah, it's got monster. It's got monster. It's got monster all over it. I mean, not just it's a monster movie, but I think it's going to do very well. I think so far it's the strongest opening since 2019 internationally. $70.3 million on its 3-day in China. Strong. I'm destroying the video that I'm releasing here in just a couple of hours, but hey, why not?
It's the practice version.
Yeah, exactly. This is the practice, but it's honestly, it's going to be it's going to be amazing. I did really well in Australia. It released in multiple. I mean, I want to say 40 or 50 or more international markets. Or I may be.
It still has other places to go yet too. That's the thing.
Yeah, and we get it Wednesday. Is that right? Is it Wednesday or Thursday?
I believe it is Wednesday. Yeah, the 31st.
So they're giving it 3+1 probably this time around. But it's going to be. I think the numbers here are going to be pretty good. And you know what? The reviews came in beautifully. Other than the review bombing that was reportedly going on at Rotten Tomatoes, which I don't even look at anymore, so wouldn't know other than anecdotally.
If you're one of the people that are actually doing that shit, stop it.
You're hurting your own ability to get what you want. Actually,
you are. You're making yourself look like children. Yeah. And I'm not saying all the people in the Snyder fans are doing that. There are a few who are. Stop it.
All right. Well, and interestingly enough, I mean, the box office will bear out the popularity. So, the reviews are only secondary, and they become the reason that we can point to and say, well, it wasn't well received by the fans, therefore it didn't perform well. I mean, let's see where this thing actually lands. But I have a feeling this thing is projected at 27.3 million on their 3-day. I think it's here in the States. I think it's going to be substantially higher than that. I don't know. Scripty on the same page with that? Do you think that's I thought that was.
Well, with some of the theaters open, it can stand to make some good money. The goal for Godzilla versus Kong is to break 600 million worldwide. Yeah, because then they'll be profitable.
Oh, it's on the way there already.
It'll get there,
and it's already got like 1/6 of the way there, at least right now. I think that's gonna go up higher and higher because people. Again, this is a fresh movie.
And that's the thing is AT&T can't put a monetary value on what this will probably gain for them in subscribers on HBO Max.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they technically could, I guess.
There's a way to figure that out, but it's going to be interesting because it will generate new subscribers to their service.
Now,
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, finish up.
No, that was it. It was good.
No, you said it was going to drive subscribers to HBO Max and.
Oh yeah, and obviously, I think it's going to hit the numbers they need to hit. I mean, if this thing has decent legs and it's got pretty good carryover week to week, if it only loses 8 to 12%, over the first couple of weeks, then it's going to do well. Whereas other films right now are performing very poorly week over week. In fact, Raya and the Last Dragon has had substantial drops, significant drops, and they are incredibly weak in the box office. This thing is going to be a monster. I have high hopes for this, and I think as it adds markets, especially the United States, especially with New York opening the theaters, and especially with expanded capacity across the rest of the country. I mean, ticket sales for this, there's some sold out shows in New York City and in Los Angeles.
I know some people who already have tickets. Yeah, there's a bunch of drive-ins that are going to have it. I know the drive-in here is going to open with it.
Yeah.
It'll be the week after, but still they're opening with that. That's going to be their first movie of the season. I think that was my question was going to be is how good do you guys think this is going to do opening weekend? Because I mean the predictions have been all over the fucking place because nobody fucking knows right now. Certain markets are open. I guess theaters in LA are opening up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Latino Slant actually.
I was gonna say Polly just went in this weekend, so
yeah, and you're starting to see that if you're outside of the whatever color coded weirdness that they have in California. If you're outside of one of the bad areas, I guess you're going to get the chance to see this in theaters. So, this is one of those things you absolutely should see in a theater. Monster movies look better on the big screen than they do on your television at home. And I don't care if you have a 4K 70 some inch, 80 inch television,
82.
This is much better to see in a theater, in my opinion. Especially IMAX. Holy cow.
So what's your, well, first I want to say, Dr. Dave, I'd go see this Kong versus Pee-wee. Oh, it's a monkey.
Time to spank the monkey.
Don't spank the monkey in the wrong place.
You guys went there.
Balls.
I'm trying to be an adult.
So give me a number here then, as a culture. What's your prediction on what this is going to do?
I think high 30s. Before I was thinking, I thought this could actually get 40 million on its opening weekend in the States.
Script?
I thought it could.
I'd say between 27, 35. Because again, there's capacity limits in those theaters even if they're open, right? So
yeah, but they're getting the +1 on the 3 days. So
I think this movie is like 2 hours even. I don't think it's over 2 hours. So I'm gonna give it the chance that it might break 40, 45, maybe 50.
Wow, you're even more optimistic than I am.
I think people are dying to get the fuck out. Yeah. I think there's a lot more people who have been able to get the vaccine. I think this is going to be, like you just said, that if any movie is going to get somebody out to go see a movie on the big screen, I think this is it. Even if you haven't been the biggest fan of the movies prior to this, I mean, come on. What do you need to do? You get to turn your brain off for 2 hours and watch a monkey fight a lizard.
And you don't have to go to the zoo to do that. Yeah,
exactly. And they won't let you do that at the zoo. Trust me, I tried. That was a joke.
Well, you have to consider, in China, this thing had 84% of the market share.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Hasn't even opened in Japan yet.
Yeah. It's delayed open. Yeah. It's still, I think is it a full month almost for delay? It's got a delayed release in Japan. But I'm going to go see this in the theater. But I'm weird. I like to see everything in a theater.
I see there's a few people who say in the chat that, people are still leery, but then like Cortana says here, you're not wrong. I work in the travel industry and we've been sold out on pretty much everything since spring break started. Yeah. I know a lot of people that are they're itching to travel.
Well, let me tell you this, in Central Florida, specifically the Orlando area, you could show up having a rental car reservation right now and not get that rental car because when this whole thing happened, they let their leases expire on those vehicles and or their, purchase contracts. So they don't have enough cars in stock to get to people right now, and just in that one location. In Florida, as you've seen, is a complete zoo this time of year. So I think that's good. I think that's good logic. I think people are dying. You're right, Tom. I think
this is a holiday weekend. I think this is going to be kind of a really good kind of idea of where people are at.
Yeah.
And with this movie coming out on a holiday weekend, they get an extra day, really. Of course, everybody's home already, but you get Friday and Sunday. Actually, you get 2 extra days because some people take Monday off too, or get Monday off usually too. So depending on the school, like you said, kids are out for spring break if they're even in school to begin with. Mm-hmm. And this is a movie I know is big with the kids. The last film just finally got reduced to its final. Okay, most movies when they come out on video, they have their first grace period, which is 4 to 6 months, and then they get reduced. and then how quickly they get reduced from there depends on how well they sell. I just finally seen King of the Monsters reduced to $8, and it went on sale this week because of the new movie coming out. And I'm assuming it'll stay at that range, meaning you'll see it in the bins now at Walmart. But that means that movie has just been selling that well all this time. And I know it didn't do huge numbers in the box office, but it did well. But I did notice that it was always on the shelf at Walmart, which tells me that movie is selling because Walmart moves shit quickly, and they don't even have half not even a third of the space anymore they used to have for movies. So they're very picky about what they keep. And the only time there's something stays on the shelf that long at Walmart is if it's selling. And I noticed that. So it was kind of a thing. I think there's a pent up fan base for this, and the kids love dinosaurs and monkeys.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And not only that, just as another comparison to support all these arguments that this is going to be bigger than we think, is the fact that in China, the opening 3-day is comparable to Godzilla King of Monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, very close. I mean, like within $300,000.
I mean, that's the thing that's sad is if we were in a normal world right now, I think this would be King of Monsters opening weekend.
Yeah.
And then some, and Kongs.
Yeah.
I think I would think this would be like $100 million opening weekend movie. I mean, in the US. And I think the fact that it did this overseas proves that. And here's the other question, I guess. Let's play as devil's advocate for a minute and say this movie blows everybody out of the water and manages to pull in $50 million this weekend. Do you think Hollywood raises an eyebrow again?
Well, I think I'm just shooting my video all to pieces. I don't even know if I'm going to bother finish editing it.
No, go ahead, man. Like
it's just one of those
practice, like I said.
No, I know, but I think Hollywood's going to be like, oh crap, we shouldn't have moved all these dates. I honestly think they're going to rethink, and I doubt they're going to push anything back again. And again, I mean, it doesn't, again, somebody was going to have to go first, right? And maybe it was too early for Tenet to release the way it did, but you're at odds with the director. The studio wants it to be purely streaming. They have to make a compromise, a terrible one. And it doesn't open with the, gangbusters that they absolutely needed there, but some other films, showed some promise. And, I think this is going to open on a substantial number of screens. I think you're right. I think because of the runtime, you're going to have a 3-hour rotation window in theaters. So, you might get, well, depending upon the theater, you might get, several sets of showings a day. So it's very exciting. Script, what do you think?
Oh, by the way, it's not even 2 hours long.
Oh, is it? It isn't? Okay. Well, I haven't looked at the runtime, but script?
It's only an hour and 53.
Or did I miss script?
I think he stepped out for a minute.
Crud. All right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Tom, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's reasonable to assume they're going to rotate a theater every 3 hours?
Oh yeah. Well, not even that. Cause like I just said, it's less than 2 hours as long as there ain't going to be shit for previews to show.
No.
So I think they're going to do a great turnaround on this movie. That's what I was thinking. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm thinking, 30 and 40 are great conservative numbers for this. I think that's a good place to put it. And I have a feeling it might have a chance to top that 50 million. Cause I think they're not they're not thinking about the drive-ins and stuff too. Because I mean, there's other areas that that aren't weather stuff. That the weather doesn't prevent them from opening a drive-in right now.
Yeah.
So I really do feel like with this holiday weekend, I think this was perfectly timed.
Yeah, perfect.
I think it'll do well for HBO Max, but I think it'll do even better for theaters.
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is going to be my video is worthless now. No, it's going to do very well. But script, I just wanted to ask one more time since you're back here. You think that a rotation of about every 3 hours on a screen is probably right for this then, if it's under a 2 hour runtime?
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. Normal usually without the pandemic issues. So yeah.
And like I said, they don't have shit for trailers to show probably.
Yeah. Well, it's just now I know there's enhanced cleaning. So
yeah, because I mean, usually it's about like a 15 to 30 minute turn around normally for multi-screen multiplexes, but I mean, when things were kind of being ramped down, there were wider gaps than when they closed off. So yeah, I would say an hour is approximately right. They have to do their sanitization, they have to let it dry, and then they can start bringing people in again. So yeah, I would say that's probably about right. You get 4 showings a day.
Well, in some cities, are they doing 24-hour theaters yet? Or
no, but you have extended hours on some. It depends on the part of the country. But yeah.
Oh, I see Polly's in the chat. I forgot to send him the damn link.
Hey, Polly. Anyway, I'm looking forward to this, and I think you're overly. I think you're a little higher. You're way.
I'm probably but hey.
But like I said, I mean, mid to high 30s is where I'm putting it, which is over the 27.5 or 27.3 or 27.6, depending upon where you look for the projections. So I just,
Do you want to know where I'm getting those numbers from?
No.
You don't want to know? Okay.
Of course I do. I was kidding. Go ahead.
Well, basically, usually when you look at the box office, it's pretty split even. Like whatever we do in the weekend in the US, it pretty much reflects everywhere else. Like that the cum is the same.
Yeah.
Now, add in the fact, like you guys have pointed out, we're at half capacity or whatever in most theaters. So I'm figuring 50 million is a good place for it to land. Considering it'll be our opening weekend. Plus, add in people will have HBO Max, will just opt to stay home. So I would go a little higher if it wasn't for that. I would say 60 or 70 million if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, and the Courier's fallen off a cliff. Nobody's going to have decent legs for a couple of weeks, I think. Raya and the Last Dragon's just it'll be non-existent. Chaos Walking is just not getting the kind of traction it was really not marketed well.
Nobody only did like 2 million this weekend.
No, it didn't. It did almost 7, I think.
Oh, I thought it didn't do well at all.
Yeah, no, it did actually. It did. It was
maybe I was looking at opening day. Maybe
you looked at the projections actually, because that was the original projection numbers was 2. It overperformed. It was 213% of projections or something.
There you go. See, that goes along with my
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right, and I like that theory. That'll be very helpful to apply that along.
Yeah, because that did better than I thought. I didn't expect nobody to do that well.
Yeah, that's a good film to use as a barometer for something that's not terribly expensive, because that was not that expensive to make. It's not like this film, which they need $600 million. You're not kidding.
Yeah, roughly a $200 million budget. So
yeah, and then they did the reshoots, which I'm not sure if that was to add or subtract from the monsterness. But from what I'm hearing, it was to add to the monsterness, which at first I thought no, but then after seeing the legs that the Godzilla Kong franchise has, I'm impressed. They've got a huge spot in every Walmart I go to, comparatively to some other toys. Even Star Wars, in some instances, they have like twice the space.
It's the broad appeal. We were just talking about this, and we're talking about DC. This is the way to have broad appeal. You have something everybody likes, and they grew up with it as a kid. They're going to introduce their children to it, right? And this is what is being largely forgotten. This is the conversation I think we have consistently, which is you as an adult, you no longer have an inspiration to take your kid to see Star Wars. I mean, we saw the financial fall off of that when it should have ramped up to a fever pitch for the last film. And so on and so on. I mean, all these things, I mean, there is less and less reasons to present this to younger viewers. And there's other things out there for them to consume. And that's why I think that somebody here said in analysis that video games will essentially be the king of all creative endeavors at this, institutional level, or for the mainstream. Let's just put it that way, because I think we're going to be the new Hollywood. I mean, I know we say that a lot, but I think you're going to have such a strong independent movement after this that you won't be able, at some point in time, maybe 10 years down the road, you won't be able to differentiate something that comes out of Hollywood or something that comes out of, an independent endeavor. With the financial support that I guarantee you, the independent projects are going to start to find. But anyway, I know we need to move on. So
no, that's fine. Let's get to some of these super chats. Andre threw a few more in here that I can. Oh, is he back? And Andre's back.
I'm back again.
There we go. Perfect timing because we left off on a few. We got a few, but we got a few more here we can get to now. We got George Barrett, who sends in €5. Says Amy is 10 years older than Henry. Matt Wink Ha Tom.
Amy Adams is Henry.
Oh, Amy Adams.
Amy
Yes,
Adams.
she is. Yes,
she's significantly older than.
Yeah. Well, she was up for Lois in. They should have cast her for Lois in Superman Returns.
Yeah, that would have made sense because I've forgotten who was playing Lois there.
Oh, I can't remember her name either.
She looked like a teenager who was cosplaying with her mother's work clothes or something.
Oh yeah, like she was like 24, 25 at the time she got the role.
It was ridiculous that she was supposed to be like this Pulitzer winning journalist
ever.
Yeah, kind of. It was pretty ridiculous.
And it's not the actress; it's just the fact that she just was not good for the role. And Amy Adams is fine, but she's one of the few things about Man of Steel that I actually gave praise. Because I was like, shit, it's about time they made fucking Lois Lane actually smart.
They didn't really do that in Man of Steel.
To a point, she figures the shit out at least.
Oh, basically, she figures it out through the fact that she witnessed Clark Kent as Clark Kent do those things. Like,
well,
the stuff that she says, even the voiceover of the article she writes, like, how is that a Pulitzer Prize winning?
Damn it, script! I'm trying to give Zach a fucking compliment, and
well, I mean. Trying to give Zach a compliment with regards to Man of Steel is like trying to give Ryan Johnson a compliment for how he interpreted Luke Skywalker, in my opinion. Like that's
I get enough shit already, and then this guy's got to make it worse. Got to make it worse. I don't know. I give up.
Moving on.
Yes, that's what giving up signifies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the next one? All right, I'll get the next one then.
Oh, I don't have the next one. I know where we are.
Dash DC says Canadian $5. $10 says scripts in Toronto or Vancouver, I can judge. I'm a maritimer.
Oh, I work in Toronto, but I'm not in Toronto at this moment.
Well, we're not going to dox him, but he's our Canadian doctor,
Yep.
We always give him shit about that.
Yeah.
My healthcare is free.
He's somewhere in Canada. So now we can just go to the map.
Blame Canada for script doctor.
And then we have Brett Cohen, who says for $5 I was told you only grow when your boundaries are pushed. So safe spaces are evidence of de-evolution. There's certainly not evidence of any kind of progression of mental ability or personal growth or anything like that. So, yeah, I would be inclined to agree with you.
Yeah, the world is bending over for the kid who's crying because he can't do something. And it's like, sorry. It's not our fault you're untalented. Do something you're talented in. Yeah. You know, they forgot to add that asterisk to you could be anything you want if you have the talent.
And you work hard and study and,
Exactly, yeah. But a big part of it is, I'm not
they forgot about that. They just remember you can be anything you want. Wanting it is quite sufficient. So
I want to be a bodybuilder, but if I try right now, I'll kill myself. Like, that's not going to happen.
I don't know, man. I think you could be pretty yoked.
It would take me a while. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you have to be persistent. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I can want it all I fucking want.
I'd give you the time off.
Give up Taco Bell, though.
Fuck you, script. I'm about ready to kill you today.
I'm saying you don't have to do it. It's just letting you know the sacrifice you'd have to make.
That is
in order to achieve it.
Why don't you just tell me to go kill myself?
Don't do that.
Look, if you were to do that, you could have neither taco nor be a bodybuilder. That's the worst possible solution.
Goddamn menu now. I can't even fucking get a goddamn Mexican pizza no more at Taco Bell. I got script telling me to give the shit up altogether. Fuck.
Well, if you want to be a bodybuilder, then it's not wrong. I'll give you the time off to go to the gym. No worries. But you have to give up the Taco Bell. That's like a new project now.
Fucking open.
Become a bodybuilder.
I don't know if
I mean, did Ethan Suplee teach us nothing?
I have to go to physical therapy first before I could even start that. But then, yes.
Yeah, Ethan Suplee really turned his body around in the last like 8 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
The only push-ups I can do are pushing food to my mouth. Okay, like let's just be real here.
well, that's where Ethan Suplee was 8 years ago.
I know.
Yeah. Hey, look at our friend in the community. Memes of Destruction. This last year has made him just a Hulk. I think he would be a great superhero character.
I'm doing a bit better, but I've got a long ways to go.
All right.
Oh, well, that road can be made shorter or it can be made longer.
No, I just want some Taco Bell, Darth Sippy. I got a script sitting here telling me I can't fucking have it.
No, you can have it. It's just you can't have that and also be a bodybuilder yet.
You guys, I tell you.
Yeah.
And to go into your
what would
de-evolution,
He-Man do?
yes. What were you saying, Andre?
What would He-Man do?
He-Man's got a sword to make him fucking all swole.
Yeah,
Like,
The Power of Grayskull does.
That is a bad example.
Well, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't go to Taco Bell.
You might as well say He-Man be like, fucking, that's like more the equivalent of doing like fucking a buttload of fucking steroids and getting jacked up. Then yeah, maybe that's the closest. I don't know if he's a good example or not. Batman's a better example, maybe.
Well, Ethan Suplee, then, what would he do? Would he go to Taco Bell right now?
He would try to see the magic eye thing in Mallrats. That's what Ethan would do.
He's looking for the schooner.
The sailboat.
Exactly.
The schooner. You know what? There is no Easter Bunny.
Moving on from there, Spider Unlimited wonders, are we going to talk about the Obi-Wan casting announcement?
Yes,
Tom,
we
I
are.
know that you've been itching about that. Is this a good
Well,
time
I
for
don't know
it?
about itching, but yes, we were saving that for last, since I figured that you would have more to add to that than the Zilla talk.
Well, then hold that thought, Spider. We'll get to it. And the Fessman93 says for £5 British, can't wait for a live-action Batwoman film. Bring it on. Yeah. Well, that'll be good times to see what they do with that. Remember that they actually had hired Joss Whedon to do a Batwoman film.
That was Batgirl.
Is there a difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Batgirl.
I had to get taught this a while ago too. Sorry. Go ahead, script.
Yeah, Batgirl is the daughter or stepdaughter, depending on which continuity you like, of Commissioner James Gordon, and Batwoman is the cousin of Bruce Wayne.
There's a third one. She's the niece of Alfred in the movie.
Yeah, there's also a third one there.
And she's Alicia Silverstone.
Either way, Joss Whedon, he was going to make a movie about one of them, and who the hell knows which one, and more importantly, who the hell cares? But in either event, it's not going to happen.
I think that's deader than
because that one that's completely dead. Because as it turned out, someone who identifies as a male feminist evidently is not the right person to do a female superhero. Because there's going to be like too much discrepancy in his own life to be able to pull that off. So,
actually, if he was going to make a Batwoman movie, I wouldn't be surprised if they repurposed all that shit for that series.
You mean like the homeless beggar Batwoman down by the river?
Well, the initial idea.
The initial one? Possible. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just, it's very unjust.
It fell apart
when it started.
I didn't say he came up with it, but I don't even think they ever said he was the one writing it. He was just going to direct it. But it doesn't matter now. It's dead. If it's not dead, he has nothing to do with it. That's for sure.
Well, maybe Warner Media.
I thought I heard it was still. Well, no, that's what I was going to say. I thought I still heard it was still in pre-production, but he ain't got nothing to do with it.
In development, I do.
Or development, I believe. Yes, that's what. That's the proper term I meant to use. My bad.
Yeah.
But moving on, we had Spider Unlimited. We got that one. Fezman says, can't wait. Oh, we got that one. Gaijin Gimpora is where we're at. Says, New 52 is terrible, but I would highly recommend DC Metal. Amazing storyline. Also, didn't Barry Allen become the lightning bolt that he got struck by his lab? I have a vivid memory of that. I believe that is
that's
Flashpoint.
that's before Flashpoint, but yeah.
Is it before that? Okay.
Yeah, Barry Allen dies by turning himself into the lightning bolt that strikes himself in the past. If I
Something
recall
like that. Yeah, I vaguely remember that from somewheres.
I have
But
to say, it's
poorly
as
handled in the
someone
comics for a decade.
that hasn't read the comics, and again, just like Star Wars, I have never ever claimed to be a fan of DC Comics or anything like that. So this is the first time I hear that the Flash makes himself a lightning bolt that strikes himself and gives himself powers.
the
That's one of
Flash
the
can
most
actually do.
stupid things I have ever heard.
I would
Yeah,
say that
no.
is not cool. Like, but there's other shit the Flash can do that's pretty cool. But
No,
yeah.
but when they invented the Speed Force, that's when the Flash started to get crappy, because then you have like this dimensional thing that feeds his powers, as opposed to like a freak of nature thing, which is far more interesting and far more limiting to your character. So yeah,
I like his
my
powers.
Flash was like this 80s 90s Flash series, the one with
Yeah.
John
what's
Wesley
his
Shipp.
face.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I mean, the suit looked fucking fantastic and everything. I've never been able to like accept these modern Flashes or even give them a chance, because I think that the suit looks so crap compared to the one from then. To
They've
Shipp's
overpowered
suit.
the Flash now. That's the problem. They've made him so OP that, I mean, almost like worse than Superman in some respects, because they play too much with the time factor.
Yeah.
Like that has gotten, like, even in the TV series, that's where "damn it, Barry" came from, that whole saying. Because every goddamn time something would happen in the series, they'd have to turn around. They just use time travel to fix it. And
both like the catchphrase is basically just a ripoff of Forrest Gump's line, which is "Run, Barry, run." Like, geez.
yeah, and there was that too, "Run, Barry, run" in the show, itself. But like, the whole internet meme became "damn it, Barry," because he was always fucking with the timeline. But no, that's kind of the whole point of why he shouldn't do that. Is you make it like Flashpoint, to where anything you fuck with is going to mess with everything up, or B, it's just you make it something that he can barely do, or it's something that he shouldn't be able to do easily. Like, like theoretically it should tear his ass apart or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's just too much shit that goes into when you make these superheroes way too overpowered. And the Flash is one that's suffered from that many, many times over in the last few years, since that series and his other incarnations that you're talking about, Andre. But at that time, to my recollection, that series was fairly, not completely, but fairly faithful to at least his powers. I wouldn't say this. There was some stuff they tweaked with the story, if I remember right. But
they tweaked a lot of it with the story, but they had fun with the powers, and I mean, it was just it suffered the whole like Star Labs is just one person type of thing, which always bothers me. And I know why they do that, because they don't want to pay a bunch of day players to be background or whatever to make it look like a big, multi-billion-dollar international company, which it is. But yeah, it was okay. It was a cheap. I mean, it was expensive for that time, but still a cheap show for CBS to do in '91, I think it was, or 1990.
Yeah. Something like that. I remember.
Mark Hamill as the trickster. That was pretty cool.
And then we got the next few super chats we did get, but then we didn't get this one yet. John Apocalypse, thank you very much, Sadie, sends in super chat from looks like $1.99 or £1.99, if I'm correct. Kong versus Godzilla, doing excellent. I was told theaters were dead. Well, I think this weekend is going to prove otherwise. Since we got you back here, Andre, I was talking about how immensely insane it was for Kong to do this well overseas, and I actually predicted a pretty high opening weekend for.
When you say overseas, what does overseas mean? Which territory?
It has done just in, I think, China. Let me see here.
Because overseas is pretty big. Like, I don't like that term. That's kind of like saying everywhere else that is not North America. It's big world out there.
Absolutely.
I know, you're right.
China specifically was 70.3 million on its 3-day. Their significant numbers came in from Australia and a couple other countries, each at 6 million. I think overall it pulled, 122 million in the markets it opened in. The projections here were much lower at 27.3 million. So I both Tom and I are a little bit more optimistic than those projections.
Yeah. Yeah, no, first of all, I have to say that the Chinese economy is positively booming with numbers like that. That means that that they're almost back to where they were, because like they had like movies. Uh, yeah, like you don't have to go many years back before that was as good an opening weekend as you could possibly get in China. You don't have to go many years back to that. So they're almost back to where they were. So that's one thing. I would be very interested to see how it does many other places. I do believe that there's obviously absolutely demand for the movie. I think many people have been blown away by the trailer, so I think it's going to play very well. Question is how many will even have the opportunity to go out and see it. I know, like in Norway, there's plenty of Norway too, but like in Europe, there's a crap ton of lockdowns everywhere right about now. And how necessary they are, well, that's something that can be debated, but I think that is something that's going to certainly limit its box office potential in Western Europe at the very least. Beyond that, I'm not going to speculate.
Well, we all kind of gave an idea of where we thought it would land, and I gave my reasoning for my higher box office expectation. And you're right. Like, I mean, it's only opened in a few places, and there's a lot more places it has to go. And the fact that it's done this big outside of the U.S. so far,
in China, it has. I wish people could just say that it's done this well in China.
Yeah, but that's it actually is done. Okay, it did half of its business, or a little bit more than half of its business in China, but elsewhere where it has opened thus far is where it got
so
the rest.
Yeah.
So it's $122 million that movie has already brought in.
That's pretty amazing in this day.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to fucking say. And LA is opening up theaters. New York is opening up theaters. Script and Culture seem more in line with some of the early estimates, which they backed off on a bit, but I bet you they're going to go back up now. Yeah. But they were more in the $30 to $40 million range. I said I wouldn't. I'm on the high, and I know it might not hit this, but I'm like, my question was, though, is more so like, what happens if this movie does open up in the U.S. above the $50 million range? Do you think that kind of changes Hollywood's attitude again on what theaters mean for them? That was kind of my big question I was getting to, Andre. I want to get your take on.
Can you repeat the question?
If this movie does manage to open up above the $50 million range in the U.S. this weekend, which it could possibly do you think that kind of changes the studio's minds on where they're going, minus HBO Max, we should say, on how things are going with theaters, and they might rethink the strategy a little bit?
I don't know. I think it's.
My point is, I think that would make them realize, oh shit, movie theaters are still pretty fucking relevant. Is my point. Because let's be real, if that movie opens, because my point is usually the box office is split in half. The U.S. and the overseas box office, which I know you hate me generalizing, but pretty much are half and half, split down the middle. Generally.
I agree. On a normal circumstance, it is that.
So under normal circumstances, my point is this movie would have probably opened in the $100 to $120 million range if this was a normal world in the U.S. Yeah. And that's a pretty big opening weekend for this franchise. I think that it's going to do pretty well, but I just wonder if it's going to be enough to make the studios go, well, maybe we should rethink this shit a little bit.
I don't think that's going to be enough.
Outside of it,
I think it's going to be. I think it's. You're going to have like a two-speed economy, for lack of a better words, for the studios that are currently killing it in the streaming market. Like Netflix, they don't want the theaters.
Well, Netflix has nothing to do with theaters.
I know. Like, for instance, Disney, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, so we're going to like do a dual thing. Whereas HBO Max, and I do believe that they'll be catching up fairly soon. I don't see any reason why a number like 15 would change their strategy, the one that they have right now. I think that it's going to take a bigger box office before they see it as, we should maybe go back to a theatrical window. I think it has to be much more money on the table before they go for that. It's my opinion, but it'd be interesting to hear what you have to think about it.
Well, that was kind of our prediction. And then Thomas Hart says, "Don't fool yourself. Godzilla King of Monsters opened at 47 million in 2019, and we were but Kong did much better. And this film was the King of Monsters also was coming off of the first Godzilla film, which some people didn't enjoy because of Gareth Edwards directing. They didn't realize, and word of mouth got around, and King of Monsters actually ended up with a fairly decent box office in the end. And as I was pointing out earlier, it was a pretty big seller on video. Plus, the thing that I also pointed out is the toys are fucking killing it right now. Like, they have a bigger space on the shelf than the Marvel and the Star Wars toys do right now. And that's possibly because Marvel hasn't had anything come out recently, really, to make toys of. But, to me, that tells me, and this has been, 3 years since the movie came out, and they're still selling toys. They just switched over to Kong versus Godzilla this last quarter here. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this one is going to substantially increase over the other two, the other three, even the previous three movies, especially Godzilla King of Monsters, because I just notice in myself, for one thing, I'm much more excited about this movie than I ever was for that one, based on strength of trailers. Like this one brings King Kong into the mix, and I think that's a big deal. I don't know that.
And what's something I told
Godzilla
you before?
Movie? Yeah, it was. Feel free to repeat it.
Well, and that is never underestimate King Kong when it comes to America audiences.
Exactly.
Every single King Kong movie has been a hit, sans one. And that was King Kong Lives. And there's probably good reason for that. A, it was 10 years since the movie that it was a sequel to came out. B, they practically buried it because they knew they had a shit movie on their hands. So, and C, it was just, I don't know why they even made it, to be honest with you. Just to cash in on it.
Because Dino De Laurentiis needed money after Dune. He needed
Pretty
a
much.
quick buck. That's why. There was no more to it. It's like
the only good thing.
Tanked.
Yeah, the only good thing I would say that happens in King Kong Lives is that the advancement in technology since the first one actually makes the apes look a little bit better, but the movie itself is so bad. But no, every other Kong movie has done better. In fact, if I remember right, as far as the original Godzilla series goes, still King Kong versus Godzilla is the highest grossing one, if I'm not mistaken. So I may have to consider inflation in that. But yeah, I feel like this is one of those movies that if we were in a normal world would have a hell of an open weekend. Like it'd be 100, 120 easy. And because I think, Andre, I will say this. I think King of Monsters is one of, if not the only post-mortem we've ever done that we should have probably revisited.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you should.
Because we called that one way too early.
Yeah.
And again, I think going back to the momentum was killed for that movie early on because Godzilla was such a, mediocre hit with people. Like they didn't like the film. But then I think word of mouth got around on King of Monsters that the movie kept going because it ended up doing like 400 some million in the box office in the US, which is not bad at the end of it all. Considering it had opened it only at 47 million, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess it may very well be. Like I myself was not at all a fan, but and at the time opening weekend it didn't do it didn't really do anything. No. But yeah, in retrospect, if it set the stage for this one, absolutely.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if any of the postmortems we've ever done, that's the only one I would say we may have gotten wrong. And that wasn't our fault either, because a $47 million opening weekend, that's dead for one of these movies.
At that time especially, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a flop. But it just kept going. That was the thing, and we didn't see that. And then, like I pointed out, the video aspect of it, and so yeah, that was something that maybe we should revisit kind of a re-post-mortem setup for Kong versus Godzilla.
maybe we
Squeeze it
should.
in the next few days here. I don't know.
Yeah, then we have to really hurry up then.
Yeah, right. But anyway, back to
One
Super
time.
Chat. Let's see where we leave off here. Jumped on me, so now I got to go back here. We got that one. We got that one. Willie Woodward sends in $2, says, I think Tom is right about Kong versus Godzilla, but HBO Max helps. In this case, I think that's the only thing that's going to hurt it at the box office besides the current situation. That's where I actually backed off from going higher than 50 million, because that's where I said I think a good 20 million it's going to lose this weekend is just simply because people are already at home watching it, but they'll know that. So it's not going to hurt the movie overall, but it will hurt the box office, I think. What do you guys think on that?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about basically splitting the potential of your audience, right? So, I mean, you can only hope that the ones that can't get tickets for it will then watch on HBO Max, and then hopefully if they like it and tickets become available again because capacity opens up, they go see it in the theaters. So you might actually have a really weird ebb and flow or peaks and valleys of box office take for this film. We don't know yet because, again, this is like new territory for everybody.
You know what's funny? I've actually heard people say that even if they have HBO Max, they're still planning on going to see it in the theaters because this is something they want to see on the big screen.
Yeah, this actually does not surprise me in the slightest. I've heard that from numerous people that for the movies that they really want to see, they want to go and see in theaters. Yeah, they want the theater experience. I've heard that from many people. And I've also heard many people in conjunction with the Snyder Cut that they would have liked to go see it in theaters if the opportunity was there. And every single person I know that's looking forward to Dune, they've said that they're going to see it twice. First, they're going to see it on HBO Max the second it's available. And then they're going to go and get the best places and the best screening possible and enjoy it on the big screen. But I think that's kind of like a sign that there you have like the real hardcore fans will be the ones going to seeing it on the big screen. I don't know how many other people that aren't hardcore fans will necessarily want to go see it on the big screen if it's on HBO Max. Unless, of course, they're really fed up of just being inside and miss going to theaters and the whole experience of that. That's something that's going to be interesting to see and find out.
I mean, I see there's a lot of people still in the chat who are just like, I don't think people are going to go out. People are worried about distancing and all that stuff. And I understand where people are coming from that, but there's just so many people I've talked to and where I've seen where they're just like that the evidence shows people want to get the fuck out. And I can't help but notice every time I go to the store, it's like it's worse than it was before the fucking situation we're in right now to even be able to move around and maneuver and get things done because there's like seems like twice as many people in the store. It's like, what the fuck? So I don't know. I really feel like this might be the one that breaks things open. I may even be able to get the fucking vaccine soon here too. So if I'm able to, that means it's been in a lot of other areas before here. So who knows? And Ronald Kaiser sent in 2 super chats for $5 each. Since I was able to bring that up on screen, I just wanted to bring that up. Didn't say anything, but just sent in the super chats. So there you go.
Yeah. So thank you for the support. Or you did say something and it was removed, in which case feel free to rephrase it. But in either event, thanks for the support.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of support, holy crap, Oli. Diego Flores sends in not just this is not just his first super chat, mind you, but he sends in another $50. Thank you so much, or 50 Peruvian souls, I should say.
50 Peruvian souls, yeah.
As I have already told Culture, in Peru, the box office will be hurt since the movie will come out in June when HBO Max launches. By then, Peruvian scurvy dogs will have distributed it. Also, doesn't help my boss, future Mrs. Flores, is afraid of going. I'm assuming going out.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the super chat.
Yeah.
And also, never underestimate the fears of future Miss Flores. And I don't mean then her in specific, but anyone out there. I think that there are many box office dollars that's going to be lost by couples where you have like the one person that usually would bring two people, himself and his significant other, and now the significant other wants to stay home, and then that's two people removed from that box office. I think you're going to see a lot of that, and just for that reason, I think it's going to take a long time for the box office to recover to anything remotely what it used to be before, which is why I also think that HBO Max, for instance, I don't think that they're going to be swayed at all that this movie opening to like 50 million in internationally or 120 whatever it was. I think it's going to take a whole heck of a lot more than that before they deviate from their HBO Max strategy. I absolutely do. It's going to take more.
Yep. And breaking news, Simon Parkin says, this is some scandalous shit. I hear King Kong has made accusations that Godzilla and Adam Wingard were toxic on the set. Made him say booyah. Legendary are being investigated. It's not good.
Oh, horrible people. Never ever make anyone say booyah. That's
oh, damn it, Kong. No, that's good fun. Good fun. Well, here Ronald Kaiser says, I think theaters will need to do a major revamp of the experience to really get people to pay out the bucks. I mean, they're really raping the wallet and purse when you went out. Here's the thing about that, Ronald, and I keep reminding people of this. A lot of what was bad about the theater going experience isn't the theater's fault. It was the tightening grip of the studio's fault. And the fact that the studios were getting more and more and more and more and more and more of the box office over the years. And people like to point the finger at Disney, but it wasn't just Disney. In fact, this was started by George Lucas with the prequels. He wanted 75% of the opening weekend box office, and the theaters were like, and he's like, no, you're going to give me 75% and you're going to hold the movie for 12 weeks. And they did it. And ever since then, studios have been getting ballsier and ballsier to the point where some of them, I think, what one was it that they wanted 90% of the box office on in recent years? I can't remember. It was either one of the Star Wars movies or something else. And that would have been Disney. I think it was either a Marvel or a Star Wars movie. But that's a lot of money that you got to remember is taken out of their hands. So that means they can't afford help. That means they got to jack up the prices on everything. And I mean, all the shitty.
It basically crap means that the theaters will be distributing for free.
Yeah, they pretty much are. Basically, that's where when they say all their money's in the popcorn, and that's not a joke. It's the truth. And it never used to be that way. I mean, it used to be a 60-40 kind of thing. So, like, I mean, that's one thing. And again, I totally understand because I hate going to the theater because of many reasons. But if I could get a chance to see, like, say, a 35 millimeter print of something right now, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Kind of like imagine that in future CinemaCons, you need to have like a stand for all of like the candy vendors where they go and they show off their most recent wares. Like here we now have like these chocolate covered peanuts. They're really amazing, and you can get
a lot of them have gone to.
discounts.
Well, Andre, a lot of them, you know what they've done here? They moved on. Used to have just nachos and stuff, but not anymore. They've got burgers and pizzas and chicken strips and all this other kind of crap they've added just to get you to buy more shit. Pretzels and everything else. Like,
well, no, they've even rented out space to restaurants.
Yeah, but you even had that in some places. You're right, Script. Like,
you have that in the few private cinemas we have in Norway. There, you typically have like some diner or burger bar or something like that, which are on the premises.
And here's the thing: is I think you're to a point. Ronald might have a point if we were in a normal situation, especially when theaters were already on the way out. But this could be like almost a blessing in disguise for some of them, because look at what's happened to drive-ins. They've opened up. I pointed out that the local theater they had a drive-in in a local theater, and they've been shut down for like the last 5 years, and now they're open and they're showing movies. So a lot of the what this is kind of doing is like a resurgence or a boom in like locally owned theaters and AMCs and Regals and all this kind of stuff, which is a good thing, which is a very good thing. The Alamo Draft houses and stuff like that, even though they had to file, chapter Which one's the one where they don't go bankrupt?
Yeah, they're
11.
they're reorganizing
11.
it.
Yeah, reorganizing.
11.
But they're the ones that are in best position when all this stuff comes back, and theaters have already kind of gotten into the game where it's not just movies they're showing anymore either. And the other thing that I think that the studios and theaters both noticed this last year was that movies that were old movies, people still went. Like, people don't realize it, but Halloween made, like, the original 1978 Halloween made almost as much money this last year as it did in its original run.
How awesome is that?
Like, isn't that weird? I mean, it's because of inflation, but, you know, just to think about that for a minute, it's just like crazy, because that means there's that pent up, like, we want to go see something good, you know, and drive-ins have really helped that a lot. And I think this has been a really big, you know, kind of resurgence for those. And I'm not a fan of them personally, but I know people are. And when you're a family and stuff, it's a real cheap way to go out on a Saturday night and to see 2 movies, you know. Or if you want to take out a date and make out, it's a lot easier to make out in a car than it is in the theater, you know. So there you go. And Ronald Kaiser sends in another $2 super sticker. Thank you so much for that.
And he also sent like another blank $5 super.
Another one
for that too. Yeah, I think. Well,
he had sent one before.
Ones.
Yeah. Okay. So we had 10. Yeah, 2 $5 ones from him. Yep. And I did mention that, but still, I just wanted to make sure that we got something for his money there. So there you go. Where did we leave off then? We got Cesario's. We got Lady Roscolin's. We got Stephen Otten's, that one. We got the Uber B Man one. We got Rev Cores. We got Hypergivers. We got that one.
I think the one that is still missing is swinging cods. Did we get that one about the Barry sending the lightning bolt that gave him his powers? Was it Flash
we got
Rebirth?
that one.
We got that one. Okay, perfect.
I think. Well, maybe not, but I know where we're at.
Okay, well,
now.
Just to play it safe, then swinging cod says, and Barry sending the lightning bolt that gave him his powers was in Flash Rebirth by Ethan Van Sciver and Jeff Johns. Also, the book that set the stage for Flashpoint.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There you go.
We didn't get that one, so he was letting us.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Okay.
But yeah.
Then where we left off was Diego Flores. Speaking of Flashpoint, sent in 20 Peruvian souls before the other one we just read. My best friend sort of saved the Flashpoint storyline by showing me the explanation in the animated Flash where Yellow Flash explains that when we did actually read this one. When Barry went through space and time, he caused the ripples. Okay, so we did get that one. Okay, we got that one. Whoa, where are we then?
I believe the next one is from Steve Caruthers, who says for $3 Canadian, enjoy my Google rewards. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Well, that was a newer one, though.
Yeah, that's the newer one, because I think we're caught up on all the others. And Michael Dietze says for $5.
No, we're missed some here.
Well, I'll get back to them. I was always willing to pay extra for the theatrical experience. Really enjoyed it. But now they've trained me to get by without it. Enjoying streaming now. Yeah, and this is kind of like what HBO Max is banking on, and that's why I think they're not going to change their strategy anytime soon. Of course, there's going to be loads of people that will want to go to theaters, but I think that the people like Michael Dietze, who now has been trained to watch streaming at home, and like Diego Flores, where the future Mrs. Flores is nervous, so they can't go. I think there's going to be so many of that streaming is here to stay, and there will still be theaters, but I think that the HBO Max model, the one of simultaneous release or possibly an extremely short theatrical window, I think that may be the wave of the future. We'll see.
It could very well be. It could be. But if this movie this weekend does more than they expect, I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking it back a little bit.
Yeah. But they may take it back to like a minimal theatrical window of like maybe 2 weeks or something.
Well, it's been 45 days is now the new window or whatever, but we'll see.
I don't think it's going to be that long.
Well, here's the thing is it won't be for every movie, but it'll be for special event movies is what's going to happen. And certain people are only going to put movies in theaters. Like, Christopher Nolan's only going to allow his movies to be in theaters and shit like that. So
Tarantino also.
Tarantino, but he's only planning on doing like one more movie for the next few years anyway. But still, point being,
not the Star Trek one, am I that?
No. And Star Trek is way dead. For fuck's sake. If anything, CBS is in dire fucking straits. We got a video coming on that though.
We do.
But Doomcock got ahead of us on that one. As you heard from him probably already, CBS's stock has tanked like big time. Paramount Plus did not do a damn. In fact, it probably hurt them more than it helped them. If you look at it.
Well, in terms of share price so far, yeah. But,
that's what I'm saying. Like, because that's kind of what this is reflective of. Like, if you look
they're
at
not down to the $14 a share yet, so they're not.
I don't think Paramount Plus didn't do very well. Their share dropped 50%, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot, but it hasn't
hit
that bottom out point, which is about $13.90 and $14.09. That's what they had around this time last year.
Culture 50% drop. What does that say to you, man?
Oops. Scary. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I'm looking at it, and they took some money. They used some substantial. I'm actually was looking for the article right now. Some substantial financial. They sought some instruments out to essentially retire some old debt, but at the same time, I mean, it puts them in additional debt in a different way. I'm actually looking that up right now, but what it says to me is their relaunch of their product was very poor. Which could have been anticipated by anybody, realizing that there's still not a lot to offer there. Their original content is not interesting to enough people to increase their subscriber base, their viewership, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, think about it. You were doing a live stream that essentially took down one of their live streams. It was, and that was glorious. But it doesn't take much to derail you. You know what I mean?
I don't think we should talk about that.
I'm sorry.
Well, basically, what happened there was that
no, I don't care.
It's complicated, but in the beginning of the week, their share price was some would say overpriced. And this is when they basically started selling some shares, where basically they issue new shares at like this high price point to sell, so that they are able to raise more money to pay off debts, as Culture Casino pointed out. But then you had some smart investors that decided that this is actually real funny. That now, when this is competitively high, now is when they issue these new shares. Like usually, you would expect like some kind of like price bump when that happens. But in this case, many actually started wondering, why are they doing this now? What are the fundamentals here? And then you had some analysts that started looking into what's really there. What kind of value is it here? And that's when they realized, this thing right here, this is significantly overvalued. So then I believe it was Fargo Wells that downgraded the Viacom CBS share from one class to another, and when that happened, then everything kind of spiraled, and everything happened all at once, and in a matter of days, then share price was cut in half. Now, there are a couple of things to say about that. The first thing to point out is that because of that, they didn't get nearly as much money as they had hoped in issuing those shares. Beyond that, it's not going to do anything to their bank account. The only thing that's going to be affected are all the shareholders. The value of their shares are going to be temporarily cut in half. But that share price, that sinks and spikes in value all the time, usually not by as much as 50%. But still, what's bad about it is that it exposed to the market that Paramount's offering is really, really thin. When you even have Bloomberg pointing out that they really don't have anything to compete against Netflix and against Disney Plus. And on top of that, there's their traditional terrestrial CBS broadcast and every other broadcast they have, they're getting less and less worth in the streaming landscape where they don't have anything to compete with. And this is where these investors usually would have brought up Star Trek as a tremendous asset. But Star Trek isn't an asset anymore. They've destroyed it completely, so they have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have a lot to offer for original programming, and what they do is underwhelming, and in the case of some fans, offensive. So they don't even bother to pick up the product now. Picard turned off a lot of people, and again, it's kind of one of the few things they were trying to launch with previously. And like I said, I mean, on the day, I mean, they're hovering around down 3% again, but all of these media entities are overpriced right now. And I think you're right, Andre. But I think they're
especially Disney.
Disney is terribly overpriced. I still can't believe it. I mean, they were, hovering near 200.
And let's be real. Paramount Plus was like, hey, HBO Max had a shitty launch. Here, hold my beer. They've everything that HBO Max did wrong, Paramount Plus did twice over.
Yeah.
And not only that, they made, like Andre brought up, not only did they have the ability to sit on, we are the only place now that you can see Star Trek. Oh, no. They did the dumbest thing in the fucking world. What did they do, Andre? They made their shit available everywhere, of course. Mm-hmm. And they went and spent God knows how much on the MGM fucking catalog. I don't know how much they spent on that.
Yeah.
I don't know, and the thing is, that's not something that they're going to get back right away. Because, it's more catalog, but what does that help them with new, fresh releases to bring in audiences right now? Nothing.
No, they're 18 months behind on their new releases because they've been buying up everything for the past year. Everything's going into production right now, and you're not going to see any of it till late 2022. So they're really behind. Yeah,
and then they
honestly, you know what I think their biggest entertainment asset is right now. All in all, Sonic the Hedgehog, and again, that's 2 years
probably
out.
Between that and Transformers, that's about it.
And Mission Impossible,
that's barely hanging. Oh yeah. And I'm saying that's even barely hanging on, and that if you consider it it's because it's more Hasbro. But yeah, you're right, Script. Mission Impossible is about the only thing they have right now, and that's probably why 7 or 8 or whatever they're on right now. The other one just got greenlit for another one, but that's the only thing they got. And they fucked up another thing. They went and gave. Well, they didn't give. They sold it to, but they might as well have just given it to them. They basically gave away the only thing they could have had a decent launch with, by giving up Coming to America to Amazon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they drop that the fucking week that Paramount Plus opens or launches or whatever. And it's that is the dumbest move ever on both ends. Because, oh my God. Anyway, don't even get me started on that bullshit.
But no, they as terrible as WB is being run in some regards, right now the streaming division of Paramount, Viacom, CBS they are lost. They're the chickens with their heads cut off right now. Really? It's crazy because you have one department that's doing everything they can to get fresh content, doing development, all the kind of the right moves at the moment of what to get to put on the platform. But you have the platform itself not knowing how to market or even properly retain the content that they want for exclusivity to draw in an audience. It's really, really backwards. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, and Coming to America was bad, but a lot of people fucking watched it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That would have been enough to kind of launch. That was Eddie Murphy's kind of comeback to comedy. That they could have built the launch of Paramount Plus on that.
That would have been a really good launch title.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why they thought it was worth, because I don't even think they sold it for that much to Amazon. If my memory serves, it was $200 million, wasn't it?
Well, I guess they must have needed the money, but how
much
did that cost them?
In the end, a lot more than they probably thought, and that's where I think a lot of this dump on their stock is because Paramount Plus is not doing well, and we know that for many reasons. And then this next month, I think they're going to start offering a lower tier, like they did with CBS All Access.
Yeah,
they aren't already.
everybody's going to have a lower dollar AVOD. I mean, and Warner Brothers came out and just said it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and they're going to too, but
and they have to. I mean, because and Jason Kilar put it this way. He said, "Not everybody's rich." And so you can only maintain certain number of streaming, services. I mean, a lot of people cut the cord to eliminate the cost, the high cost for things.
Well, you know why HBO Max is so expensive, not to interrupt you. Sorry, Culture.
Oh, please go ahead. No, well,
you know why? Or do you need me to answer for you?
No, please go ahead. No, I want you
HBO is the reason why. It's not because of all the Warner Brothers shit. It's because HBO. They're expensive. Yeah, they're premium content. Exactly.
Yeah, but that was a selling feature for that, and it justified the higher price. Their ARPU is much higher than that of Disney. Disney's is around $5.50. I think it went up slightly when they did the price adjustment recently. They're also subtly changing people's bundles to including Hulu. So there's some weird stuff going on with Disney Plus. I'm going to have to track down some things, but they
had a bunch more customers than that's what when Andre was being very conservative with the number. I think they bled a lot more than they want.
They've bled a ton. I mean, their churn numbers were up fairly substantially, and that's why they really don't want to announce milestones any longer. They want to, unless it's something fairly epic. You're not going to hear much about it. I think the next quarterly we won't hear Disney Plus subscriber numbers. I don't think so, because I think they've reached that point where at 100 million subs, the churn is now digging into every single positive that they have there, and so they're going to stall for a while. I'm sorry, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say that, yeah, exactly, because what if next time the numbers have increased by like only 5 million or something? Mm-hmm. Because those numbers would say that, okay, you have now already hit the top of the curve, which starts to flatten. So it's going to be declining returns from here on out, and you're never going to be able to catch up to Netflix. This is basically as good as it's going to get. What if numbers were to reveal that? That would be horrible for Disney's share price, because I've compared Disney's share price right now to something of a Ponzi scheme. Mm-hmm. It can go up and up and up as long as there's continued growth on Disney Plus, because that is what powers the whole thing. The moment that growth is no longer the massive growth that they're hoping for, you're going to see a major correction. And of course, that's why they're going to hide those numbers.
Yeah, and that's what we saw in this last quarter was they only went 5 million higher than they did. Mm-hmm. That's where I said that shows the churn already, and I think that was even before.
Oh, if it's 5 minutes already, then next time it's going to be lucky if they have 1 million new subscribers.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think that this hurt them a lot more than they expected it to.
It hurt them a lot, and again, I mean, this is how desperate they are right now. They announced expansion or an additional theme park in California after being shut down there for over a year. They're announcing a third gate at Disneyland Resort. Now it's well down the road, and the artist rendition of the development was essentially already just a cobbling together and a reshaping or scaling of existing expansions in other locations around the world. So, what they showed off is kind of the area that they intend to use. And that this is 3-5 at minimum years down the road before we actually see something physical. Every one of these media companies right now this is a tell, don't show circumstance every time they come to the table. It has been for a while, but it's been made more plain by the global crisis that we just went through. They're coming out and more people are paying attention to what's being said at the quarterlies and at the annual meetings. And it's revealing an awful lot that it's mostly hopes and dreams, at this point. And yet they're still, the executives are still reaping giant benefits financially, which, seem unjustified to me. And like I said, Disney's probably the most overvalued stock on the market right now. And I'm gonna guess, based on what's happening with Viacom CBS, that they're going to close down 3% today. So
Yeah, that could very well be.
That's true. Like Viacom CBS does not have a property that they can exclusively push on their platform to draw in people as of yet. That the earliest we're going to see something like that is probably 2022. But however, the Paramount Plus, much like with Peacock, are in slightly better positions because again, they can either go further down or they can go up really, really fast. And ideally, right now, Peacock is kind of like the sleeping giant at the moment. Its subscriber growth is steady, which is actually the best thing you want. You don't want a peak and valley because right now we've seen with Disney Plus, it peaked and then it dropped, and they're never going to have that big steady growth again. Not with this current regime in charge. With HBO Max, it's kind of on a steady growth, but it's very, very slow. And then right now, Paramount Plus is kind of in a state of arrested development. But as long as they're not losing huge amounts every quarter, they can sort of survive it and buy themselves some time until they're able to drop something that is exclusive on their platform to get subscribers to start rolling in again. So it's really brand new territory, and a lot of these studios are still looking at streaming services like with the box office. So you got to get as much money in that first 2 weeks, and then afterwards it's just moving on to the next project. But that's not how this works because it's a completely different type of market now. This is more like a restaurant market where you want people to be coming back once a week to have your food, and then you add something new to the menu every month. You need that steady customer return.
Yeah.
Yep. And everything that Paramount announced prior to launching their platform is all, again, hopes and dreams. We're going to make X number of movies this year and X number of series. And Disney just did the same thing, though. I mean, they essentially created a virtual upfront to announce not too long ago, that the Investor Day, to announce, Marvel shows and Star Wars shows that all are having difficulty right now, and difficulty that they created within their own studio entities. So I don't know. I like that. Really makes Disney overvalued. They're not going to deliver on some of these Star Wars things in the time frame that they described. So
yeah. Well, I think we'll get back to the subject as we get through the super chats here, but I want to kind of stay up to date with them.
Yeah, so, I found the one you were referring to. Swinging, we may have to do a couple of repeats here, but I think we get them. Swinging Cod said, Silver Age Flash was always time traveling. The Speed Force was invented by Wade and was a one-way trip to Valhalla initially. Can we get that one?
He had the cosmic treadmill, which allowed him to travel through time.
Otherwise, we left off on Dash Attack.
Yeah, and then going back to the older ones, Willie Woodward said, let's be honest, Tom, DC even made Batman OP, and he's just overpowered, I think he means, and he's just a normal human. Also, Andre, respect. I love that Flash show.
I don't think he went back far enough, though, because
I think he usually went back a day. Most of the times he jumped into the future.
Well, no, I meant on the super chats.
Oh shit! Okay.
No. We'll get through all of this. And then Stephen Otten, he had 2 super chats saying, "If I stayed inside for the year, I would be insane by now." Oh wait. So yeah.
Well, as long as you're not leaving, then that's fine because I knew where I was at. So
yeah. And Stephen Otten also says, no, this blame Canada. So E. Do you want to be a hockey player or a Mountie when you grow up?
Oh, I think it means like Canada. Hey there, eh? Do you want to be a hockey player or a Mountie when you grow up? Huh?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there you go.
That's your two choices, that one. But what if you're a girl?
Oh, the women's hockey in Canada is awesome, man.
Yeah, exactly. Same choices.
There you go.
Yeah. Did we get that one?
No, but you missed a few ahead of that one.
Yeah, I know, but we'll get back to it. And
you're driving me nuts in my OCD here. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I'm looking
because I had something set up for the next super chat, and it's like, okay.
Oh, fine, you can still do it. And then this says, just saw the first 3 episodes of Invincible on Amazon Prime, and I liked it. What do you guys think?
I've been hearing about it. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I've heard, it's good stuff. What about you, Script Culture?
Yeah, I saw the first 3 episodes. It's a pretty solid adaptation. They've only race and gender swapped 2 characters, and it's not detrimental to the story, and they don't really do anything to try and make it sort of like highlighted about the fact that they did that. They just play it straight, which is good. And they also did a little jab at some woke stuff in the 3rd episode, which was kind of funny. So yeah, well, we'll see what happens as it goes. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Invincible, you seen it yet, Culture?
No, I haven't. It's on the to watch list and catch up on list. I'm having a hard time keeping up with everything that's coming out. To keep up with for those purposes, because I'm often here on YouTube streaming, but I'm looking forward to it. I haven't heard anything bad yet, and if script is on board, then I'm definitely excited to give it a shot. So, but I'll catch up in the next couple days.
Oh yeah, if it goes in a weird direction, I will definitely make it known.
Yeah, that's for me. I've never even heard about it, but that's me. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So there you go.
And Diego Flores said, "Script is savage today. Quickly get switches and duke it out in Smash or in Mario Kart."
Yes.
And
Tom is welcome to keep eating his Taco Bell.
And Dash Attack said for $10. Disconcerted that Lucasfilm is moving on ahead with Kenobi despite the online protests over Gina. Change or concession will not happen before this comes out. Love, Ewan and Hayden. Very upset.
Well, that's where I was left. That's where we left off before. So we caught up on that part, but I know there's a bunch more we've gotten since then. But we'll get to those super chats. But it's funny you bring that up because that was the last thing we needed to get into this, at least so far today, unless something else drops between now and the time we're done. Yeah. But now we have a full cast view of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Don't mind this. This actually came on the Disney thing too, but I just happened to grab this one first. Here we go. Here's our cast. We have Ewan McGregor and Hayden, of course, and we got Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton, Bonnie Piesse, or however you say that, Kamal Nanajimi. I know Nani Gianni. I used to know how to say his name, but I forgot. Indira Varma, Rupert Friend.
Indira Varma, she's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. O'Shea Jackson, who's actually Ice Cube's kid. Sung Kang, Simone Cassell, and Benny Seth. I can't read today. As you can see there's your cast. But the thing about this that is striking so much more is what have I been telling people? It's funny you bring up the Gina shit because what was supposed to film next, guys?
Mandalorian?
After Book of Boba Fett.
That's be the right, Mandalorian,
not Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is coming next instead. So I want to, this just tells me this is Kathy getting her way again.
And consider this. I mean, a lot of stuff that right now, because of what just happened in Georgia, as far as voting rules, they're going to have a call that they can't utilize the Georgia facilities.
There's a bunch of boycotting going on. Yeah,
I think Mangold just said that he's.
Yeah, he did. I just noticed that too. Yeah.
Wow.
They're voting away their democracy again, or something, or what?
No, they're voting for democracy now. They're actually putting laws in to protect voting, and it's being called the exact opposite, Andre. So, but not to be political here at all. I'm just going to say they're going to have a group of people calling for them to shoot themselves in the foot again, and So it is what it is. But no, there has definitely been some problems because of what happened with Gina. And we've been saying it since, it happened, that this is going to throw a wrench into the machine. And boy, has it, in a big way.
Okay. Well, this is, again, grain of salt time. And this is something I heard rumors of. And this goes along with the thing going around that Favreau wants more power. I heard he's pissed. Disney's been pressuring him to recast the character so they didn't have to go back to rewrites and do all this other shit. But he's like, nope, put his foot down on that. So, but they won't bring her back, or won't let him bring her back yet. Anyway, and I don't even think she will come back if they would. So what I heard was they had to go back to the drawing board for season 3 of Mando. And that's why this got pushed ahead, because Favreau refused to budge on recasting. So that's what I heard. That's the rumor I heard. I don't know what else Andre has heard or anybody else, but
I haven't heard anything to refute that.
So, no, I haven't heard anything other. The only thing I know is that the only rumor I heard is that Gina would work with Favreau again, but that's all I heard, is like they would work again. That doesn't mean they'd be at Disney. It just means something else. Yeah.
Very true.
And again, take that with a grain of salt, but that's just what I heard from somebody through the grapevine. Now, Culture, did you hear anything like that? That's where I was curious what you had heard when we brought it up earlier.
I haven't heard anything inconsistent with that. You have to consider just how involved she was in future productions. I mean, not just Rangers, but also in future.
Right, and that's what I heard. Is this is all predicated kind of on? Sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, you're 100% right, and that's and not only that. I mean, there was talk in some other directions about what Favreau wanted to do in the future, and it would have left Gina in Lucasfilm doing projects for them for quite some time. So this really did kind of screw up, even the concepts and treatments around season 4 for Mandalorian, and of course the Rangers show. So,
season 3, you mean?
No, season 3 and 4. I mean, it was screwing stuff up. Yeah. So.
Well, and yeah, that's the interesting thing here is because it's not like Ahsoka. This character was basically written for Gina, is my understanding. Like Favreau called her up and said, I want to write this character.
That is entirely correct. That there was never a casting call for Cara Dune. She was written specifically for Gina Carano, because more than that, she was written for Gina Carano, because John Favreau, apparently, this is what I heard, that he knew that he needed some kind of tough female character that was going to be extremely likable and that was going to be an audience favorite, because that was important, because this was one of the point of view characters for the entire future of his Star Wars pocket universe. And that's why he went straight to Gina Carano, because he didn't look for a Gina Carano type. He knew Gina Carano has everything, embodies everything that I need right here. So he went straight to her and tailored the whole thing there for her in the first place. That's what I heard, at least.
Yeah, and that's that's where I'm coming from too. And then that goes along with the whole reason why he hasn't said anything yet. Why Mando season 3 has basically been pushed back, even though they haven't said anything. Just wait, they will. They'll announce that the premiere date will get pushed back too. You just wait. That's coming slowly but surely. But yeah, so here's your cast for this. I'm not really excited for I've never been that excited for Obi-Wan. And the more and more and more and more we learn about it, the less excited I get, especially not just because of the Gina thing lately, but the whole Hayden Christensen thing was a turnoff for me to begin with. Not to mention, Kathleen Kennedy obviously wasn't paying enough attention to the show that some will have you believe that she was running, even though she didn't know it was too much like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mando, before it was already on the air. So yeah, this is already in its third fucking iteration already, because it started out as a movie idea from George Lucas himself, and then they were going to do it a while back, and they had already whatever many scripts it was, and then Kathleen Kennedy pushed it back because they had to change it because it was too much like Mandalorian. So that'd be 3 versions if you ask me.
And what I'm curious about is who is in charge of this final version, and where does it fit in with continuity? Is it just its own standalone thing, or did Favreau in some way or form consult on it? There, I have heard conflicting things, so I honestly don't know what is the. I
don't think Favreau has anything to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I didn't think so either, but someone opined to me that, no, towards the end there, he actually did consult on it to make sure that it would line up properly, everything. But
that could be, but
if that is accurate, or if that means it's going to be good, I don't know.
Because this was a thing before he was even in the game. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and right now it's looking like Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to be more of a show of Ewan McGregor in his sleep having nightmares for 6 to 8 episodes.
It better be, because they better not.
I mean, they got Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru from episode 2 and 3 back, which
really,
yeah.
Joe Edgerton.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Bonnie
Bonnie Piazzi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Bonnie Piazzi looks a lot better than she did 20 years
that's
ago.
how much I pay a fucking attention, y'all. I don't give a shit about this series. I really don't. I don't want. I really am. The end of episode 3 was enough for me. Like, I'm like, okay, he managed to pull off a movie that was semi decent. I can leave it on that.
Yeah.
You know, I have not seen those movies that much since they came out. I mean, it's no secret I'm not a huge fan of the prequels. I'm not looking forward to this either.
Well, okay. The showrunner on this is Hannah Friedman for all 6 episodes.
Yeah, and then, I mean, they made sure they got a female director because a lot of us have been pointing out, oh, Miss Kathleen Kennedy is Miss Power person up there, but she's never had any female directors. Favreau's the first one to bring any female directors into Star Wars, so she poached one for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And that would be, what, Deborah Chow or whatever?
Deborah Chow, yeah.
Deborah Chow is there, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's quite possible she's doing more than one episode, but we know at least she's.
She's directing the whole series, from what I recall.
Oh wow, okay. Well, it's not very clear.
That's what I thought the initial plan was, because it's just a mini series more so than it is a show. Yeah, like Larry said, it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I just said. Yeah, the 6 episodes are all the same showrunner. So we'll have to see. I mean, I wasn't interested in this ever, and I got less interested as time went on. So just like you, Tom, I felt like this was not going to be very good. The iteration that I had, the most clarity on wasn't intriguing at all. I have no idea what they're going to do with this.
Well, Andre,
I
know you have the least attachment to the Star Wars universe. Is this something you're even remotely interested in anymore?
No, not in the slightest.
I didn't think so. But see, it was funny because you actually did have some interest in this before.
I did. But but now after the firing of Gina Carano, and I just see the complete sabotage that is going on, my one worry for this series, because I was excited about Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. I really was. But the more I started thinking that, no, wait, this is just an opportunity for them to destroy both Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in one go. And that thought it hasn't gone anywhere. It's gone stronger and stronger. So maybe this will be good. But at this point, I'm not excited anymore. Yeah. I think unless Jon Favreau comes out and says, I shadow produced this. This is going to tie in with the Mando stuff. This is going to have my seal of quality. If it doesn't have that, if there's no connection to him in there, then I don't have any faith in it.
Well, here's the scenario. Maybe, just maybe, because since this, they had to rework everything after Mando season 1, maybe Iger's like, get Favreau in there to help you since you fucked this up already.
That's what I'm saying. And if that happens, if we suddenly learn that, Favreau, he actually did come in here, that changes everything. Then I'll do a 180 and I'll go back to being excited. But pending learning that Favreau was involved with this, I don't care. Not one bit.
Well, there you go. And in other news, Culture just let us know that CBS dropped another 5%. I don't know if we have anything to do with that, but I'd like to think we did.
It's important to have positive thoughts.
It is. I'm thinking people watch that. Fucking sell it! We're dying here! All I can think of is that scene in Gremlins 2 where they're like, buy, sell, 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 sell. I've advised all my clients to put everything they've got into canned food and shotguns.
Can't go wrong with canned food and shotguns.
That's pretty much the way it is, ain't it? Oh, fuck. They're burning. Yeah, sell everything. CBS is going to drop another 20% by the end of the day. Maybe. This is not good looking for them. Not good. Well, our two investor guys here, Andre, Culture. What do you see for the future here? What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe somebody set a price at 45, but it's wildly fluctuating at the moment. I like I said, I still think maybe it closes 3% down. It could be more than that. I just
Turn it back on.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone is like shorting, and we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking. Yeah,
because like the way that you had like Wells Fargo going, they did the downgrade, and then this goes into all the headlines, and that's when it really starts plummet. Then comes the press and everything like that. Then you've had a market correction. At some point, it's going to start bouncing up again, and in the meantime, some hedge funds out there are going to have earned loads of money first on shorting, and then some will also have like done some level of bull trading. Like, okay, now's the rock bottom, buy now. And then they see like the value there. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was one of the many times when someone did speculation in public and cost
media companies.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a part of that to it, because it was like a little bit too random right now.
Well, in the last 3 years, Andre, the pattern has been exposed. They're targeting media and software companies, and any of these things for shorts, which is why we ended up with the stonks stuff.
Well, if they're not shorting it, my prediction is this has more to do with the fact that Paramount Plus tanked. I think
it's somebody's trying to bring it back up. I'm actually, like I said, I'm living in this world where I'm watching it fluctuate wildly, really quickly.
And again, you guys know more about it than I do, but I'm just saying, to me, that's what I'm seeing as an outside observer, is because Paramount Plus, come on, man, they fucked it up bad.
Yeah,
they did, and I think that as simple as someone recognized, hey, here's a shorting opportunity.
That could be. It could be both, I guess.
Yeah. But all of these media companies, especially Disney. Gosh, right now, if you shorted Disney and you could get your buddies in the media to,
oh my God, what a fortune! Yeah, what a fortune!
I don't know if Apple would let that happen, though. Do you think?
Why not?
Yeah, if they are in on it.
Oh, if they're in on it, yeah.
Yeah, because then they could do their hostile takeover of Disney.
Well, that's the case, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, they have a cash war chest still that it's not substantial as it was. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
There was a news story we didn't bring up that I've been bringing up in other conversations, that now that I got my money men here, with Culture being here along with Andre, what do you think this whole deal about, like when I pointed out to you how after Hollywood gets bailed out, oh shit, we got all this money we forgot about laying here. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence at all.
Yeah. And for those who are wondering what I'm talking about, is all of a sudden last week after they get bailed out, Hollywood's like, oh shit, we got a surplus of money we've been saving up because we put this money away and put it aside for advertising.
We forgot all about it.
We forgot all about it because we didn't release any fucking movies last year. Duh. So like half the money they always have, they put into advertising, is just sitting there. And I don't know how they got away with not reporting it or how it works, but all of a sudden now they found it. It's like, oh, by the way,
and I will tell you that money will be earmarked for projects that are woke AF.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Yeah, I think because it's not that money now that's going to, and this is why I said, and I'm not as optimistic as Gary or even Doomcock is right now when it comes to this. I think we're still got 3 to 5 years at least of more garbage that we're going to have to point out as garbage. Now, there still will be the occasional good project, but my anticipation is the studios they're going to be wary about the tent poles more so than they used to be. But at the same time, we're still going to get a lot of trash. And unfortunately, I think that the Black Adam film will be full of it as well. So it's
I
just
think so too,
Well-
because here's like the thing that in order to qualify for the bailout money that they got, certain conditions going to have to be in place. It's not like, oh, you're a Hollywood studio, so therefore you get money. No. I had to offer loads of support for the right party in advance there.
Hey, Paul.
And then secondly, there's going to be like a condition that's in order to actually get this money and to use it, you're going to have to put this, and this into the movies, because we want it to have like the right message, since it's paid for by our workshops, and you get this bailout. So we
Well,
get
now
to
would
demand that of you.
would maybe that
So,
would be why
yeah,
they had to
you
report
are
the money is because of the
absolutely right.
bailout?
One more
Could that-
time.
Could that be why they automatically just found the money is because of the bailout shit? Because if they had to qualify,
Yeah, and now they've gotten it. Like, it takes some time to to do issues and stuff like that. It has to pass through and everything. And we have Paulie here. Hey, Paulie.
The Latino Slant is now
In the
being
building.
changed. It's
Oh,
being
no.
changed. Yes.
Why is
We're
that?
I'm now the Boomer Slant.
Oh, yeah, it was
no.
awesome.
Boomer Slant. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm the Chicano Boomer.
Don't do this to us.
It was so great.
Don't
It was
tell
good.
them. Just pretend you went, and that's what you're planning on doing.
You know what? I wish it was just these tickets. I wish it was just these tickets, but it was a day long of Boomer events.
Andre has no idea what you're talking about, but
You do, and I
or
want to
did you watch
entertain
his
people.
video?
Tom,
Yeah,
I
you
wanna
got like
entertain-
this tickets to like some concert or something, like some La Bamba or something.
No,
like that.
well, La Bamba the movie was supposed to be showing at AMC next month.
Right.
Okay.
I got these last week. So me and Mrs. Slant was the date night. Got the dog sitter. First time in the movie theater in over a year. Show up, sir. This is for next month.
Oh, okay.
Oh man,
So he went and seen Nobody.
we saw Nobody.
How was it?
It was kick ass. I
See,
loved
there
it.
you go.
I loved it. And Latino tech support also failed yesterday. I was trying to figure out. We did a live stream of me figuring shit out with the aid of Fat Steven Seagal and Purple Valkyrie, and we for 2 hours didn't get shit done.
Oh no.
I got a little bit, but basically at the end of the day, it was like go to their Discord and look at videos.
Oh no.
Yeah, but anyways, I'm having a great Monday. Hope you guys are.
Yeah. But Prince Andrew has the best question of them all about Nobody. Did it have kung fu or karate?
Oh yeah, it had a lot
There
of
you go.
action.
There's your answer.
Look at the quote. It was more, it was a little bit. It was kind of like an old, as if well, it's Better Call Saul, right? That actor,
Yeah. Steve Odenkirk.
Steve Odenkirk, and he's kind of like a John Wick.
Or Bob. Yeah, one of the Odenkirks.
Right.
I can't remember which one.
Bob, yeah, he's kind of like a John Wick, kind of, and they just mess with the wrong dude, and it's hilarious. It's shot well. It's great action. It's wrong. It's violent. And it's jacked up. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Well, that comment before tells me that Andre probably has not seen La Bamba. So
I have not yet. No.
I knew it.
I knew it.
It's a good movie. You need to see it.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
I had seen Blood In, Blood Out, and I love that, so I deserve some credit for that.
Yes, you do. I'm just giving you shit here.
But I've learned of Born in East LA. I'm going to watch that as well.
That is a plus once you step in the right direction. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a definite step in the right direction. Now, do they have the Scream Factory version over there, or what version did you get your hands on?
I got the local. Actually, it's imported from England, so I don't know exactly which one it is.
Does it have the alternate ending on it?
I don't know. It hasn't arrived yet. It's on its
okay.
way.
You have to let me know, because if not, I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's like a whole ending that's chopped off that movie. It's weird. But we'll get into that when you see the film. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's not like a big spoiler or anything, but it's just kind of weird that it got chopped off like it did. Let's see, where were we on super chats now? You'll have to catch up now, Andre. I think we
Yeah,
left off
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think there were a couple of more that we missed because I certainly don't recognize them.
possibly.
Sorry about that.
Adrian Barrera said, I want to see WB do an Alex Ross DC Universe.
Yeah, we got that one, but yeah, what's your take on that, Andre? We already covered that for us, but yeah.
Oh, I'd be all for it, because then we could get Von Buck in live action, and I would love to see that.
I like his style. I do.
Yeah. And then Robert said, if Black Adam fights Superman, how much collateral damage will they cause? Did you get that one? Yeah.
Yep.
Devil's Advocate, Reindeer Games, and 2 Days in the Valley. You got that one? Okay. Yeah, great. Then
we should be caught up with whatever we had.
Then we should be back to where we were.
We left off. Yeah.
Kaiser. And then we had super chat from Ronald Kaiser, Michael Dietze, and yes, here we go. Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina says, saw The Empire Strikes Back at the theater here in October, and it was just amazing. Only place to watch a movie like that. And Gran Wasu 42 sent a 10 euro super sticker of a little doggy that's laughing, so thanks for that. And Vigilante Williamson says, in reference to our talk on Viacom CBS, 50% drop. Smells like Chapter 11. No, it's going to take more than 50% drop to do that. As long as they can pay their bills, they're fine. And I do believe they will be able to pay their bills. So there won't be any Chapter 11 just yet. And Fat Steven Seagal beat up, I'm sure, someone who deserves it, but I can't see exactly who right here. Yeah. Why wasn't Professor X in his wheelchair in Star Trek? Because they don't care about continuity. Why else? And Jack Hudson sent us a super sticker of a little doggy that comes running towards us.
Yeah. I did that quick for Fat Steven. I was trying to do it before, but yeah.
And Diego Flores says, what culture has mentioned makes me really think that financial analysis of these companies should be done to help pull back some of the BS. It absolutely should. Problem is that you only have so many who can do it, and so many who are willing to publish the results. So then you're left with people like us who will say straight up that this share price right now is a Ponzi scheme. Ronald Kaiser also says, as my father used to say, life is hard, then you die. Much of this weekend last is due to hedge fund sell-off. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said. It looks to me like that someone is that someone is planning some financial moves there, because that's the best explanation for a share price dropping by as much as 50%. And then Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina says, wish it was Disney. CBS should have taken loans to inflate their stock. They're ready to get taken over. And Valiant Renegade says, lot of funny moving parts on the CBS issue, and it could still be overpriced if you just look back 80 to 120 days. Culture, your thoughts on that? Is it still overpriced?
I think it probably, but they all are. I mean, I don't know. I think resting right around 42 maybe to be safe, but I mean that's where I would look at it. But that's still kind of high. Hey, what's up, my bud? But yeah, no, I think it's, here's the thing. What else do they have to offer right now? You know, you have a dwindling TV audience, which you're constantly cannibalizing with your streaming options. You're about to cannibalize it some more with an AVOD. You know, you're going to realize some additional ad revenues that you wouldn't before. But at the same time, I mean, you've watched the television viewership of broadcast networks and so on, and the increasing rate of cord cutting. All of these media properties are overvalued. So I don't know. It's 42, maybe less. I don't know. What do you, Andre? I mean, would you set a target on it?
No, I haven't studied that share price enough to be confident enough to set a target on it. But I will say that as a general thing, I do believe that they're all overpriced, and I think that and I also think that I think it's going to bounce back, but only because they want it to bounce back. But I think that it's probably overpriced, or even now.
Yeah, this was a grab. This was a grab at the regular folks, is what that's what all shorts are nowadays. But yeah.
Exactly. Like, for instance, Cultured, how much would you value the entire Star Trek IP? All movies, entire catalog, everything right now. How much would you, and all the rights for future projects, how much would you value it right now in this moment?
Now or before? I mean, and now. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think somebody could come in and swoop in and get it for maybe $2 billion, maybe a little less.
I don't think it's worth even $1 billion.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay. You really think it's collapsed that far?
Think about it. Just think about it. Like, say for instance that if someone were to invest $2 billion, how the hell would they be able to get money back on that? Even if they have all the licensing and everything, how the hell are they ever going to make $2 billion out of it? Maybe in 50 years. But how they're going to, like, if they put a movie out right now, say that they put $150 million into a movie, how much is that going to profit?
Depends on who makes it. That's the other part. You have the variables of who makes it and how good it is and how long they're able to hold it into theaters and distribution sales. And even under the old model, it'd have to be a really, really good movie in order for it to even, and also have a great appeal to your normies in order for it to be, I would say, at best, you look at maybe $500 million, $500 million in worldwide box office take, maybe $150 million in merchandising and at-home sales. And so you need to make about 10 movies in order to make your money back.
And as we sit here and But as we sit here and discuss this, Kong versus Godzilla is doing just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say earlier is
it didn't cost $2 billion.
And that's my point is we're at a situation where they can sit there and pretend this mirage that theaters, they don't need them and all this shit. But I think Kong versus Godzilla is going to be a little bit of a wake-up call, especially to some of the other companies that aren't Disney and Warner Brothers, that they're like, wait a minute here. And like, Paulie, you were just at the theater. Yeah. What was it like? Was it full or what was it like?
Well, no, I mean, so I went to the AMCs, right? And so they got the clean and safe protocol. Right. So even a sold out place is 25% of the house. So you're seeing a movie kind of like in an empty movie theater, which I love, but people are out, right? And everyone is hyping and talking about Godzilla.
I was just going to say, you also have a situation where there's hardly anything else out. Not just that, but there's hardly anything else out. So yeah, maybe you can only have 25% in one theater, right? But you're going to have 20 fucking theaters in one place showing King Kong versus Godzilla now instead of only 5.
Okay, and to add to that, all the Nobody shows were sold out. Like everything that's sold out. So what is that going to tell you? They're going to lift those. It'll be like 40%, 50%, like
the rest of the country. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm hearing in the People's Republic of Los Angeles. So, but I mean, my neighbors, everybody, everyone's talking about Godzilla, especially now that they know they can go. They didn't even know that the theaters were open.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna perform very well. Like I said, I mean, and that was the discussion at the beginning. I really think it's going to surpass by and far the projections that they set it at for the opening 3-day. But nobody surprised everybody. It exceeded projections by 230 some %.
What's the projections, bro?
The projections were at 2 and change, and it ended up at nearly 7 million at 6.7.
Yeah, I think it's going to do exceedingly well given the amount of screens available and the overall situation. I think so. Yeah. In terms of like Star Trek, like the best way that you can profit on it is in terms of like a TV series or small to mid-budget movies, and a brand that lets you do that ain't worth $2 billion. I think it's worth less than 1.
I think it's a perfect movie. It's a perfect popcorn movie.
Yeah, I think you could, like you said, if you made terrestrial-based films, like at least for the first two, and you produced a couple of compelling television programs based in Star Trek, I think you could
And you
recoup
have a
that.
brand, and then of course, if you do that, then the value of the brand will go right now. As it is right now, you have a Star Trek that has bombed worse on the big screen than ever before. The audience is tuned out. The DVD box sales of even the original classics don't sell anymore. Merchandise sales are dead, and the Blu-rays of the latter few seasons of Next Generations tanked, and there won't even be one for Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Of course, there's still money there, but you have to. I stand by that it's not worth $1 billion.
Okay,
I could probably get on board with that, but the other part too is that again the fan base isn't growing; it's actually shrinking. Either it's aging out, or the people that are finding Star Trek are few and far between because again it's not as well advertised in comparison to the current run that's happening right now.
Yeah, and you're not introducing it. You're not having the older people introduce it to a younger generation because of.
They already have technically, really.
Presentation,
They already have, and it's really the younger generation saying, "Well, we got this one that's made this year, that's got modern special effects, so we're going to look at that first." And you end up poisoning the brand, which again, that's what's been happening over the last 6 to 8 years, is that brands are getting poisoned. Like Ghostbusters was poisoned. You had the Star Trek has poisoned by bad robots. Star Wars is poisoned by it, and you can make a fair argument that Zack Snyder and what was being done there for DC films was poisoned by a bad take. And now we have Warner Brothers wanting to do a worse take. So it's like there's no win at this point because there isn't really anyone with enough power and influence who has a better perspective on things to sort of take the reins and lead these studios out of their own hole that they're digging for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And moving on with some more super chats.
Wow.
Valiant Renegade says a lot of fun moving parts on the CBS issue, and it could still be overpriced. He got that one. And Ronald Kaiser says Star Trek went from being an asset to being an ass. Indeed. And Willie Woodward says for $10. The part you're missing is HBO Max's model has more value proposition to customers, and that's where studios failed with theaters. For all the comparisons of price, it's not a value proposition to go to the movies 4 to 2 times per month. That's there's absolutely a point to that. It might be a better value proposition to customers to have entertainment at your disposal on HBO Max or indeed any other streaming service non-stop than having to physically go out to a theater. So certainly a different value proposition. If it's a better or worse one, that I think is going to depend on the individual. What do you think, Culture?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I don't know how much else I can add to that. So, but yeah.
Script, Paulie, anything you want to add?
No, I think you're on point there, Andre.
Yeah. And Prince Andrew says, although... Oh, sorry, carry on, Paulie.
No, just, just based on my one-time experience going yesterday, I see that because of the protocols and everything, that they're more of a full service, so if they can... In the end, and I got about, it's it was relatively expensive, but I did get discounts. If they can keep doing that and the full service, once that word gets out, because they're literally, refilling your drinks and coming to you with all the food, not like it was before. So I don't know. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we have Prince Andrew, who says for $5 Australian, although Midnight's Edge mentioned woke Captain America recently, what are your thoughts on woke Batman and how it might add fuel to the J.J. Abrams fire? Well, then I wonder which Batman specifically. Do you mean like a new comic book Batman? Because I know there's like a new Black Batman in the comics, or the Robert Pattinson Batman. I don't know exactly which one you're referring to. If it's like the guys, help me out here. What's like this future initiative, like this 5G or whatever the thing is called? There's like a Black Batman there who's like super woke apparently. How excited are we all for that?
Oh yeah,
Prince Andrew.
I have no idea.
Prince Andrew. He emphasized his next comic. Yes, I think it's gonna. DC Comics is pretty much done for anyway, since according to Ethan Van Sciver, they've like basically completely butchered it in the various bloodbaths. I think that comic is going to completely and utterly tank. But I would not be overtly surprised if J.J. Abrams sees, that could be a good Superman for me to go with my black, or good Batman to go with my Superman. I would not be surprised if that were to happen. So yeah.
I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of good feelings about the future for DC at this point. And if they lean farther into the New 52 stuff, that's just it's just going to be worse. And anything J.J. Abrams comes out with, we already know is going to be laden with the agenda, and it's why I think that adventure, horror, and action that are not related to comic book films are probably going to be the most successful films. Nobody, as Polly has just seen it, is an indication of that. And you're going to see more of that on the horizon. The new John Wick films on the horizon. But The Matrix 4 will not do as well as they want, because you're kicking your audience in the teeth again. Again, I mean, if the studios and the actors and the directors and the producers, everybody that's involved is going to attack the fans, you're insulting your audience. And then if the product that you produce is insulting your audience, you're going to continue to lose said audience. And we've already seen that the vast majority of television viewers and film viewers the ages are creeping up. You're seeing a lower percentage of under 25 seeing films. And the ones that they're seeing are not going to be the ones that are going to produce a whole lot of revenue. So, and the demographics at a film, and this has just been fairly static, is overwhelmingly over 60% male, and you're not catering to that audience anymore.
Yeah, no, that audience is toxic, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying in the action genre. And it doesn't matter if it's a male or female lead. If it's a properly done action film that isn't insulting, things going to kick butt, right? Especially with Rob, right? Because it's got karate in it. And then you have the adventure films, same thing. The comic book films are starting to be more played out, and there isn't anything unique there. DC is trying to copy Marvel's formula. Marvel's formula is going to deteriorate over time, as it has, and as we move forward into the MCU, it's only going to get worse. So again, monster films. This is the biggest thing, and I wanted to mention it earlier, but it got lost in the conversation. Universal should have leaned into the ideas of having a universe of monsters, right? I mean, we could go back to doing amazing monster films. We could have incredible horror films again. And you can still teach those as silly lessons. But like I said, those are going to be the genres I think will survive, because they're going to pull in the audience that you want. I think not just survive, but actually excel probably is a better way to say that. So, yeah.
They actually are doing that, though. They're just outsourcing it to
Legendary.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly who they are. And then we had Miguel Hernandez, who says, it went under the radar, but Disney signed a massive deal with the NHL. ESPN Plus will now be the streaming home of hockey, just like the MLS and UFC. Well, then I guess ESPN is going to be pretty big going forward and probably kick ass where sports is concerned, I would imagine. But guys, help me out there. Is this a huge deal for ESPN Plus?
Hockey's still a lower tier in the big, it's not considered part of the big three in the United States, but it is a huge sport in Canada.
And in Russia and other countries.
Exactly. And so with the expansion of Star, the Star brand or whatever they're calling it, Superstar, Hot Star, whatever it is, flavor of the week name, you're gonna see a lot of that content bundled in the international markets. And so it is a boon for them in a lot of ways. But I don't know that it's going to be super beneficial for them. I mean, sports viewership has dropped substantially because of again, political stuff that nobody wants to see in their escapist entertainment like sports. And that trend hasn't turned around. We can talk about the fact that Disney worked out a terrible deal, but not as terrible as everybody else when it comes to the NFL rights recently as well. And, you're looking at the amount of money that the NFL is going to pull in from their rights. I think it's 100 billion, 110 billion, depending upon the options and everything else. But their opt-out clauses at 7 years. I guarantee you somebody's going to say, I don't really want this anymore because you've diminished this product even more. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think they'll yield any additional viewership because of the NHL. I mean, some, but not substantial. Time will tell, but I just don't. It's not gonna yield more in the United States. That's for sure. So.
Script.
No, I think culture's bang on that one. I mean, yeah, like again. Hockey is really primarily popular on the border states of the United States, but not really once you get further to the Midwest and South. So, I guess we're not going to be seeing much of a change there or any sort of big significant boost in the foreseeable future.
Paulie, anything to add to that?
Mexicans love hockey.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Moving on from there, Warwolf says Peacock may also be getting a boost in subscribers since many WWE Network subscribers are jumping over there now as well. Anything to add to this, guys?
I heard about that, but there's some controversy with some episodes that are being either edited or not included or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about that.
Yeah, I'm not conversant in it, but I've heard similar. But it makes sense. I mean, you're going to hop, and again, you're going to hop because who wants to pay for multiple streaming services? And your whole purpose. I mean, it's all the same arguments, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on from there, Stephen Otten says, the Kenobi cast is a mixed bag, but since I no longer have Disney Plus, it scarcely matters. Yeah, I think many feel that way. And Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina points out, Deborah Chow is a good friend of Favreau. Yeah, see there, like that's the kind of thing that can have me excited. If she went to him, like Favreau went to Feige and says, "Hey, I need some help here." If that were to happen, if there is some influence, even if backdoor, something to make it like line up with the Mandalorian, that's going to change my opinion on it in a heartbeat. Have any thoughts on that?
I think. Go ahead, Script. You probably had
I just can't think of anything further to add on that. I don't have. Yeah.
I mean, I understand that wanting to be optimistic about it, Andre. Our assumption is going to be that she's wanting to keep in line with what Favreau is wanting to do, and not with something that's coming down from a higher level that is going to be more effective at putting pressure on her to steer things their way. So, but
exactly.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know that it increases my optimism. I think that's probably the best.
She's doing the job that she's hired to do and building up her resume, which is fair.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to say that this is going to either boost or kill her career, but it's just a job at this moment, and I don't see anything wrong with that at the time being. Like, she has no hand in the writing process, so she's just there to make sure everybody gives the best performances they can. And then once she's done there, she will probably be doing some directing jobs on whatever Favreau's got in line.
Yeah, hope so.
I mean, she kicks ass. Right?
I'm trying to remember if she was part of the program before or after the rewrites. Yeah, but
after, very after.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Then that means that she probably either was poached or brought in by Favreau.
Very well could, yeah. And then we have this says for $5. One of the reasons why Peacock subs are going up is they have a second season of Exo Squad for free on their service.
They have a lot of stuff for free on their service. They've got 3 tiers. They got the free tier with advertisements. They have a second tier which has less advertisements and I think some exclusive advanced stuff. And then they got a third tier which is completely paid. And that does no advertisements, and you get all your stuff content first run. So I mean, they have a really good model, which is why I think they're going to be a sleeping giant on the streaming process side.
Their catalog is pretty decent too. Material that's available, old material. Right now, viewership of old material is fairly impressive. Things like The Office. If you have something like that, Big Bang Theory over at Warner Brothers, you have something like that, you're going to retain an audience. That's if you have Friends, for example, that's going to increase because people are going to be like, oh man, I want to watch Friends. And it's stuff like that. Things that are good. Standbys for people, those are going to be, you're going to keep people longer with those, which is why old content is good. At the same time, you have to produce good stuff. And like Script was saying, if you offer a couple different 3 models in their case, you're going to have a lot of subscribers for that AVOD stuff because they can ignore the commercials just like they do on YouTube or
regular TV,
television. Yeah. So it's just, I'm going to go get a beverage, there you go, or grab some popcorn and whatnot.
Yeah. And then we had a question from George Barrett, who says for €5, sort of backing Andre regarding stream, AT&T versus theater. But Script Doctor, can you assess the theory I present in my 2 regular chat posts? I've only made 2. Well, Mr. George Barrett, the thing is that you might have made those 2 long time ago, but we can't bring them up on screen right now. So if you could do us a favor, if you're listening, to retype them, preferably in 1, then we'll highlight it on screen, and then Script Doctor can answer.
Well, it might have had to have been in 2 just because of the links, but we'll definitely address it if you can either copy and paste it or whatever. Because we can only go so far back. So.
We can't bring it back, even if you only wrote those 2. We don't have the opportunity. I regret to say. So but retype it. We'll pay attention to the chat, and if you retype that, then we're going to get right on that. In the meantime, we will be going to the next one, which is who says, bear in mind that Zhao was a student of Favreau at Star Wars Director School, Mando. Refer to Favreau discussion in the gallery season 1. Yeah, again, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm really hoping that there's going to be some kind of influence there. But again, if she didn't write it, she's just going to be so, yeah, refer to what Script Doctor said. And no, actually, it was Valiant Renegade who said that. It was Valiant Renegade who said, bear in mind that Zhao was a student of Favreau in Star Wars Director School. So Valiant Renegade said that. What said was, Gina is perfect and clearly the breakout star of the series. We've been waiting so long for Obi. I have mixed feelings. I still love Ewan though. So yeah, I think there's going to be plenty of mixed feelings regarding the Obi-Wan series. So we'll see what happens with it. And Peter Smigelski says for $10, thank you so much. My friend had bought a year subscription to CBS All Access and hadn't heard about Paramount Plus, and the fact that everything on CBS All Access is now on Paramount Plus. He was mad that his membership wasn't moved over to Paramount Plus. Boy, they really screwed him over, didn't they?
Oh, man.
Is there still a CBS All Access, or did they just cut it?
As far as I know, it's gone.
Yeah, so anyone that had paid a year subscription, they just lost their money then, didn't they?
No, I think they were supposed to switch over to Paramount Plus.
Yeah, they're supposed to switch over because there are, especially if you manage to get like a CBS, like a Canadian version of CBS All Access and whatnot, there are provincial laws that prohibit, like if the thing has changed forms or discontinued, you have to reimburse the remaining part as a buyout.
Well, from what I
that's
heard,
in Canada. Do you have laws like that in America?
Well, from what I heard, you actually have to go over and switch it over. Like you have to sign into Paramount Plus probably from your old email and password and all that stuff.
And then update it, yeah.
Yeah, and if it's an app, if you're using something that has an app, you'll probably have to download the app. But yeah, my first thing I would do is go online and try to sign into Paramount Plus with your old username and password. And chances are you could probably get in that way. Because as far as I know, it just switched over. But that doesn't mean that they're on the same. Depending if you're doing it from your computer, then yeah, you have to go to Paramount Plus instead of CBS All Access now, I believe. So, but it should work. If not, get a hold of their customer service, and they'll probably help you out in one way or another. Hopefully, that's the best we can do.
Yeah, we certainly can't help. We can hope that their customer service will. And Adam Wofford says, hey you guys doing an after Godzilla versus Kong live stream?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that would be fun. Because it's going to be easier to see than the Snyder Cut, since it's just 2 hours and not 4. Also, Chun-Li won't be in Mortal Kombat, but she will be in the new Bloody Roar next year. You don't say. She's not in Mortal Kombat. Huh? Who would have thought?
She's not in Kong versus Godzilla either, and I'm pissed.
Yeah, it's Chun-Li should be in everything.
Godzilla versus Kong versus Chun-Li.
Chun-Li versus toxic Jason masculinity.
Versus Ash.
Versus Dr. X. Or Professor X, excuse me.
Timmy.
Terminator X.
All right. What do we got left for Super Chats, Andre?
Yeah, then we have Fat Steven Seagal, who says, Latino tech support. Paulie failed. Purple and me.
Oh, we got that one, yeah.
What the hell? That's not nice. That's not nice.
Jackie Hudson says, maybe I'm out of the loop on today's TV programming, but is there a reason why TV or streaming series are only around 12 episodes or less nowadays? Script. This one's for you.
Is gone. He just said BRB.
Okay. Well, Tomlin, in the meantime.
Money, time, because from my understanding, they kind of it's between the amount of time that people spend binging on a show and other things like that, and the amount of money. I think it started basically because they didn't have the kind of money that networks had to begin with. Culture, do you know anything about this avenue of why?
I don't. My speculation is, and I think it's probably going to be something to laugh about, is that they don't have the creativity to write an entire story that's any longer than that.
Whereas I'm going to go counter to that, and I'm going to say that with shorter seasons, you actually have more opportunity to be creative because then you have less filler. I mean, if you go to the UK and you look at some of the greatest series ever created, Blackadder, Mr. Bean, Monty Python, all of those classic stuff like that. You know how long their seasons are? They're typically 6 episodes, but those are 6 high quality episodes that go down in history forever. Like Fawlty Towers, it's 2 seasons, it's 12 episodes in total. And those 12 episodes are considered some of the best TV there ever is. Because with like a 26-hour, 26-episode season, you have like this massive writer's room that have to work their asses off. And you have some good episodes in the seasons. You have some fillers. You have some bottleneck episodes. You have a little bit of all of that. Whereas I think, and I want Script to give the real true answer when he comes back, but I think part of it is that when you contract it to fewer episodes, you can devote all the more resources, both creatively and financially, on that, and then get an ultimately stronger product that is also more fit for binging and for streaming, because it's quite a difference between going through creating demand for more with like 13 or 12, 13 episodes than 26. I think that's a factor. But I'll bow down to the master.
Yeah, and I'll let Script answer in a second. I just want to ask you a question, Andre, and that is this. Even though we've seen plenty of filler episodes and shortened seasons, such as Mandalorian and, ultimately almost everything on Disney Plus, there's not a lot of, there's a lot of filler even in shortened,
Mandalorian should have been a movie.
Yeah, but that's
my answer there. Because there you have basically taken something that should have been a movie and you have stretched it into filling like 6 hours. Like same thing with WandaVision. It would have been better off being a 2-hour movie, and they stretched it to a 6-hour thing. But there's a big difference between that. And if you just go back to like HBO, like real proper high-end HBO series, like The Sopranos, like The Shield, like Us, even they, even though they were for cable, they weren't 26-episode seasons. They were like 12, 13 episodes even then.
So Script, what's the answer, Google?
Well, the HBO model is what a lot of like Netflix tried to adopt when they started doing their own shows. Was basically a tighter.
HBO was the first one to do it. Yeah,
it's the HBO model. It's basically short, high budget seasons. And the other part too is.
But I was right. It had to do with money.
Yeah, it also has to do with space. It also has to do with studio space, because most of the stuff is usually rented within the lot if it's not part of the actual production studio itself. So ideally, what the goal is to write your season in kind of like an isolation, shoot the series on a lot within 6 to 8 weeks, and then get out of the lot, and then something else can come in there. Because since, for instance, shows like Friends or hour-long dramas like ER or the Grey's Anatomy or Star Trek or something like that, they have to build the sets on the lot. They have to either rent the space or rent various spaces for it, and it's for a much longer term. It's usually a couple of years, and especially in the case with Star Trek Discovery, where again they have shortened seasons, but they rented Pinewood, Toronto, exclusively for 5 years, and then they leased out some of those spaces to other shows to sort of make some money, which I learned just a few days ago, which is interesting. And then on top of that, it's like, well, if you've leased out a studio for 5 years and you're only doing like a 16 episodes season 1, then 14 episodes season 2, and then 12 episodes season 3, why are this episodes getting smaller with every subsequent season, since you have the space available? So it's a weird type of model, but the intention is basically to say, oh, we're going to focus on a single contained story of 12 episodes on a particular arc, or at least a particular chapter of something, do it in quick production and turnaround time. And then when we have the next season, we do it again. And it keeps all costs down low. And ideally, from the writer's perspective, is trying to tell the best story they can within that framework, without your filler episodes, without your bottle episodes, so to speak, to amortize the costs of studio production and rentals. But that hasn't always been the case, because the model that some of the streaming platforms are using right now is to really you don't get a long time to spend on the episodes as you'd think. You get maybe 6 to 10 weeks to write an entire season, which is not a long time. Whereas on the traditional model, you would only get maybe 2 weeks to write one episode, and you have 26 episodes that are over the course of a year. And you're about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of production schedule, and you're doing bookings on weather and when they can do shoots and all that other stuff. So you actually have more time to make a better quality story on that type of budget than you technically do with your binge model. And we're seeing quite prominently, especially with Disney Plus right now, with The Mandalorian and with WandaVision, and also with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that they're not giving us the quality that would be precluded to this model that HBO has been doing for 15, almost 20 years, really. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
I'm sorry, it's a rambling it's a very complicated area, but
no, the final point goes to exactly what I was saying. Like, for instance, Disney Plus, they're undermining the model when they take, like, for instance, The Mandalorian and WandaVision that should have been 2-hour movies, and they stretch them to 6-hour series.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like unjustified. And you have a little bit the same thing with, like, the Netflix Daredevil series. They stretched many of them. They stretched to 13 episodes, but really there was only material for 10.
Yeah, even Netflix had that issue with some of their Marvel properties, for Jessica Jones season 2 and Daredevil season 2 and Luke Cage for a little bit, sadly. But yeah, and the thing is, Disney shouldn't be in this position because, one, they own the property with which they film in. They have the stagecraft stuff, which prevents them from huge expenses on building a bunch additional sets. So they do have plenty of cost-saving measures to allow for a better quality story, but they're just not doing it. They're still putting a Russian date on the stuff for Favreau and for their other shows. Like Obi-Wan has been gone through multiple iterations over 3 years, and that should have been released between season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian. And then Mandalorian itself, they're doing the Book of Boba Fett, then followed by season 3 of Mandalorian, which maybe even pushed back further. And it just shows that, yeah, they're really unorganized with a model that's already established. And we can only hope. And the other part too is, like, until HBO does start doing or HBO Max does start doing their miniseries within their DC properties or Dune properties, such as like the Bene Gesserit series or not, we have no idea which one is going to be the paramount, and I use that term cheekily, of the streaming services when it comes to miniseries in this new generation.
Exactly. So there you have it. And then Alex Cesara says, could The Rock, Snyder, Jenkins, and Rock's manager be made new DCEU heads? I will answer that really quickly. No. Not while Ann Sarnoff is in charge.
Not even that.
You wouldn't even want half of them to be.
They wouldn't be the heads. They would just be the driving force. There'd be an actual president above them doing all the business aspects. Then they would just be the ones that say yay or nay if they want to be involved as producers. If anything, that's the closest you're going to get.
And Patty Jenkins has proved with Wonder Woman 84 that she should not be anywhere near this shit. If
Pretty
anything, I'm willing to say this now, that in retrospect, whatever's good in the first Wonder Woman is probably mostly Zack Snyder's influence, because he was around quite a bit from my recollection. And there's even like shots of him on the set and stuff and all kinds of.
Well, there's also a different screenwriter.
That too. But not only that, it feels like a completely different DOP and all kinds of other shit on the second film.
And then Adam Wofford sends in $10. Thank you so much, saying, so I finally figured out what Ryan Roundhead Johnson was trying to do. Remember Silent Enemy episodes? He was inspired by World War II. The Enterprise was chasing the cloaked ship, but in Star Wars. I don't quite see how that was Ryan Johnson was going to do, but maybe you see something I don't. I mean, you're the Star Wars fan, I guess. I'm not. So yeah, I just saw that he just destroyed the brand, but that I think everyone saw. And Hillis Mallory says, just waiting for the announcement of Gina's return. Don't hold your breath for that while you wait. So I'm going to say to that. Maybe after Kathleen Kennedy is no longer there, but certainly not while she's there. It's going to be way too much prestige for that. Any thoughts on that script?
Yeah, again, it's all under the current regime right now. So that's the thing that's going to hinder Disney's properties at the moment is the people at the top don't really seem to be making the best decisions when it comes to treatment of the stories and what the fans kind of are clamoring for. So yeah, we're not going to see much of a change until it's basically going to be a top-down type of thing, and that only happens by you as the audience voting with your wallet. So it's a very interesting relationship. So yeah, you're not going to see Gina coming back anytime soon until the powers that be decide to move on to bigger and better things or retire or are terminated. And I don't think they're going to be terminated. So
Yeah. And Mags sent us a $1.99 super sticker heart. So thank you so much for that. I hope you've soon caught up listening at double speed. So yeah. And then Peter Smigelski says, I don't understand why Discovery Plus stocks are going down. They have an awesome back catalog and get a lot for $5 a month. Well, I'm honestly not familiar with Discovery Plus, so I'm going to listening to the wisdom of others that may be more familiar with that. Culture, why has this Discovery Plus gone down in share price?
I'm going to admit I have not kept track of them at all. It's not something that I've followed. You're not wrong. They do have an extensive catalog of shows and offerings. I can't explain it. I'd have to look into it. So I apologize. I'm not very well informed.
Best I can go by. I mean, are they talking about the company?
The share price, exactly the same
the
thing.
Company itself.
As of the company
and
itself.
that's because I can tell you because I guess they pissed off a lot of their main audience by putting stuff exclusively on a streaming service. From what I heard, and this is going from personal people telling me this shit. So I'm throwing a guess out there, and Paulie's waving his head yes. So.
Really quick, yeah.
No.
So, guilty pleasure, me and the missus religiously watched 90 Day Fiancé. And before they went Discovery Plus, it was basically 90 Day Fiancé programming for like 2 days out of the week, like from 8 to 10 or whatever. The point is that they took all of that content except for one show and they put it on Discovery Plus. And we have not, we're not getting Discovery Plus. That's why we have cable. It's like, so maybe they thought everyone was going to go follow them. I don't know what, but a lot, and with those guilty pleasure shows, we know a lot.
Well, not just that. I think they misjudge their audience because aside from the few people like you that are watching it for guilty pleasures, majority of the audience is middle-aged women, probably, who don't notoriously want to use a streaming service.
Thanks, Tom. But 90 days is huge, man. It's huge. But anyways, all that content just went to Discovery Plus last November, and they're still trying to push it in between the shows. Anyways,
I will just say I know this because some women in my life that are in that age range were bitching and pitching a fit about it. So that's why I know. My mom is one of those too that will notoriously, she won't even touch like Netflix or anything like that. I have tried. I'm like, Ma, I got these services. I never watch anything. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's and
I can't believe she turned down Disney Plus for fuck's sake. Like that's way up her. Like this is the mom that likes the Hallmark movies with talking dogs and shit. Like,
yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Nah, thank you for that because then that makes me feel like I'm right. So I'm pretty sure that's it.
They're right, Tom.
Judging their audience big time.
I think that it may be part of like I don't know that this is like the whole truth, but I think it's also part of like some investors or like fund managers associated with Wells Fargo who did the downgrading that issued it were involved in a short squeeze of some kind. So I think it's some kind of financial thing.
That could be, but I
also
think
played into it.
They might be losing some of their audience though too at the same time. I think it's part of it.
More things can be because again you can have like they recognize that here is something that the market has missed. This is overvalued. Let's now take maximum advantage. We're going to bundle this with the Viacom CBS, and we're gonna sink it, and we're gonna make a fortune on it. Two things can be true at once, and that happens more often than you think.
Well, I was kind of pissed because they actually have a show on there that I wanted to see, but I didn't realize it was on there until I.
Oh, this doesn't affect the show. This again.
No. I just don't. I'm not gonna fucking get it. I have no reason to. That's my point. Other than this one show, I'm not getting a streaming service for one fucking show. I'm not even sure if it's gonna be decent. But I like
caught a show for that.
Exactly. Well, it was like it. Yeah. So I was like, no way. And again, I think they're misjudging their audience big time by the way they're separating it.
And then Warwolf says, "Isn't Kennedy out at the end of this month?" I don't think so. No, I think that her contract expires in fall.
I'm not sure either anymore. Exactly when.
August, wasn't it?
Yeah,
some people have said earlier in the year. Some people have said August. I've heard a couple different things.
Honestly, we don't know. We only have heard various rumors and speculations, but really, we don't know exactly when her contract is up.
Unless you've heard,
or if someone knows, then I don't have access to that information.
Yeah, look, for whatever reason, the original target that I was told specifically in relation to the contract was January 22nd. That's long gone. Supposedly, somehow she's there through August. That's the last date I heard, but that's it doesn't matter when her contract expires. I'm going to keep saying it this way. It doesn't mean we get rid of her. It just it means it's more expedient for her to leave. But that's not going to happen. I think Script and I had this conversation several times. I think she'll get soft extensions until she gets the pet projects that she has done. She has 2 of them. Indiana Jones is one of them. And the other is
she's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and
she's going to be that retired doctor at the doctor's office that's still practicing it and filling in for the other people until they get someone that can actually take over the practice.
And in the meantime, that's a retired doctor. How much damage can he do?
Exactly.
Whereas Kathleen Kennedy can actually prevent Star Wars from getting back on its feet by her mere presence.
No, you're absolutely right on that part. Again, there has been since Kathleen Kennedy's soft renewal of her contract a few years back, there has been nobody that the studios have been pushing that could be a successor to her. And usually they want to do that because they like to say we know that Kathy's of an age and she's got other passion projects to do, and Lucasfilm is not going to be her last charge in this industry, and she's going to go on to bigger and better things to sort of have her Valhalla moment, so to speak. And we need she's prepping this one person to take over. They've done that. That's what studios usually do. That's what production companies usually do. I mean, that's the typical frame, but this has not been the case for Disney Lucasfilm ever. There's nobody. I mean, they got close with Michelle Rajuan, but that tinkered out pretty quick. So there's nobody to back and support it that the studio is pushing for, and the fans keep wanting Jon Favreau to do it, but again, he is not interested in that type of responsibility. He's a creative, not management. So you're not going to get him coming in. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. She probably won't be going for a very long time. She might end up actually passing away before she leaves Lucasfilm, as far as I can tell. So,
well, there was the other one. I forget her name right now, but yeah, we'll get back to that. Yeah, that's the one. Well, we'll see what happens with that in due course. Willie Woodward says, "You see shades of Perlmutter and Feige with Favreau." Yeah, well, there the studio had a clear preference, although Feige really had to push to get his way there. I don't know that Favreau can push that hard.
What it took was Bob Iger wanting Captain Marvel. That's what it took.
So there's more to it. So yeah, I see why you would make the comparison, but there's more to it. And Peter Smigelski says, for $10, thank you so much. Also, when 26 episodes were in full swing, there were no streaming services. So the channels had to produce content that was only competing with other broadcast networks. Oh, yeah, because this had to fill the
time slot
whole
war.
Season. Yeah, that's the time slot war for the whole Christmas to summer, and then from autumn to winter. It had to like fill that entire time slot, didn't it?
Pretty much, because you'd have your you'd have your off-season shows, and you had your sweeps in the spring and summer, and then your fall season was your main season, and basically you're competing for your time slots on days of the week and times. Now with streaming service, it's not so much the time slot; it's really just dropping and then retaining subscribers. So it's a little bit splitting more of the audience, because again, with network television and cable television, it's really just a one bill issue for a customer. But with the streaming services, it's multiple bills, unless you can find someone that does a package deal. Like in Canada, we have Crave, so it brings in various shows from various streaming services into one to make things easier. But not a whole lot of countries have that ability. So with the people trying to get into the streaming services, yeah, you're looking at exclusive cable package version just on your computer at this moment, which is what I've been talking about since Netflix started becoming dominant. It's like, yeah, other people are going to be competing, and you're basically going to be buying exclusive cable channels as you did in the 90s when that thing took off. So you're just going into a cyclical fashion, and you're getting rid of the more reliable market, which was your network and local television.
And then we have Peter Smigelski, who sent another $10 follow-up. Thank you so much. It was probably cheaper for the network to just have a 26-episode season, so they didn't have to build multiple sets and have multiple actors. Could invest more into the single series and not divide things up.
It also has to do with continued revenue. So again, 26 episodes airing a week, that's 26 sales for commercial advertisements. So that's 26 weeks of additional income coming in. And if the show also had a merchandising wing, that would be 26 weeks of advertising for the merchandise as well. So lots of tiers to gain a lot of revenue from that model that you can't technically do the same with a binge model. But some are kind of trying to do with the streaming service, like Amazon with they do the drop of 3 episodes and then a weekly episode afterwards type of deal. So yeah, it's a brand new industry right now. People are still trying to figure it out. And even though the streaming wars has now, I guess, their armies sort of on the front line, it's all like who's got the best strategy and the best, the best artillery to win in the end.
And with that, we are fully caught up.
Awesome sauce. Well,
Yes.
With that, I want to remind everybody that it's Monday, and on Monday nights, we have the Gathering of the Gals on Toxic Femininity at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 Eastern. So hope to see you here. I know the ladies are getting ready for that. Other than that, is there anything anybody wants to plug or talk about real quick before we get going?
Yeah, like for instance, Cultured Casino, our special guest of today. Thanks for joining. It was a pleasure to have you on. Where can people find you?
Well, actually, they can find me here at Culture Casino, and I had a lot of fun today, and thank you for having me. Hopefully, if you're not subscribed, I think most of the folks that have been watching today are, and thank you. Check out the channel. I will be dropping a video later today that I completely cannibalized being here today, but that's fine. This is my favorite thing to do. I love to live stream. I think the only reason to do videos now is just to support the channel, but just check out the channel, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Also, link is in the description. I put it there. Also, Script Doctor, where can people find you in addition to by hitting in the description?
No, basically on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD, and then my YouTube channel at youtube.com/ScriptDoctor. And yeah, this has been a busy season for me on the consults and screenwriting side, so I'm really happy. But once that dies down, videos will be coming back out again.
Hashtag script ain't got no time for me.
What? I was on me the other day.
I know, right? He's all working and shit.
And then you can find Polly on the Latino Slant, correct? Well, actually, now it's the Boomer Slant.
The Chicano Boomer Slant. Yeah.
At Boomer Day, eh?
At Boomer Day. We're going to have a big podcaster on tomorrow night. That's going to be a lot of fun. He is a founder of the Daily Cella, which is a great newsletter and site that I often get my news items from. So I'm looking forward to having him on the show. I'm very excited about that. And we're going to keep chugging away with our Espanol site. I'm working on a couple surprises for for our Cinco de Mayo launch. There's
like
a music act. There's a music act that I want to get.
Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then we got another super chat from Dash DC coming in at the last momento. Tom, I wanted to thank you for showing the Death Star ad on your stream. I played with it for hours and hours. The door to the compactor didn't work. Well, sorry to hear about the door on the compactor not working, but yeah, I'm glad to hear you had fun. Sometimes I do goofy stuff over on Mead. It's always fun to check us out over there on Midnight's Edge After Dark, where we do goofier, fun stuff sometimes, like Koalas in the Rain. That's where it originated from, and it has been adopted now by the main channel. So there you go.
Yeah, that's what we do when there's something cool. Then we appropriate it.
Oh, I see how it is. So, speaking of, here we go. Thanks again, folks, for joining us today. We love you all. Couldn't do this if it wasn't for you. Take care of yourselves and each other, and have a great day.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain.